All right, folks, let's try this one more time. Welcome again to another morning space with me, Kalu Aja. On the space, of course, we're talking money, the economy, and finance. And what the topic we have today, guys? We're going to talk about fiscal federalism. We're going to base it on the new proposed tax laws that the president has proposed to be passed. If you've been following Nigerian news, you would have heard that President Bola Tinubu has sent four separate tax bills to be passed by the House and Senate. So, we want to talk around those four tax bills, or should we say tax changes. They are very, very significant and they are going to affect your personal finances and also the finances of your own state in particular. So we have to pay attention to them. I will try to again share. What I did yesterday was to share most of the data that we're going to use in case you want to follow. I shared that yesterday. I just reshared it again right now. So if you go to my Twitter handle, you would see essentially all the data points that I want to just touch on, what the bills are, the derivation formula. So that way you can follow because it's going to be slightly technical, but want to also make it, to make it bring it home to you and explain why these things matter to you. So again, these are the four bills. There's a personal tax exemption side that affects you personally, at your own personal income, how you are going to essentially get tax write-offs, or should we say tax exemptions. We're going to have a separate space on that. On this space, we won't really touch on the issues surrounding what the president wants to achieve with this new tax policy and why there's a lot of opposition to it. It's more or less informational, right? So if you want to hop in, if you have a question, you can, of course, send a DM or you can even request to speak and we will add you on. So guys, don't waste your time really abusing anybody. We can do that on our own Twitter space, but this is more like let's just understand the issue so that way everyone sort of gets knowledge about the topic. So again, I just go back, I just shared it again. A trend that I did on the tax reform bill that would really bring you up to speed on what we're talking about. So let's get right into it. So President Tinubu has sent four executive bills to be passed by the Nigerian House and Senate. There's a tax bill, there's a tax admin bill, there's a revenue service bill, and there's this joint revenue establishment bill. The one that is really touching is the Nigerian tax admin bill. That one is trying to talk about how we harmonize tax admin across federal, state, and local jurisdictions. But let me just spare you the back and forth on taxes. This is what President Tinubu is proposing to the states and local governments. In section 146 of the bill, we want to raise VAT, that's value added taxes. It's going to go from 7.5 today. It's going to go up to about 10% in 2025, and by 2030 it will be 15%. So that's going to be a significant increase in fiscal revenues that are going to go to the states and federal government. VAT is one of the largest ways in Nigerian government, state, federal, and local government gets revenues. So Tinubu is saying, I want to increase VAT. That's fine. All the governors support increasing VAT. But what Tinubu is now saying is that when I increase VAT, we are going to change how we share VAT. Now, currently in Nigeria, when revenues come to the federal government, it is shared out on the basis of, and I'm quoting, and go to the trend, you will see it, on the basis of 40% equality. 40% equality. That means that all the state governments, right, will share 40% of whatever revenues have flowed to the central pot, what we call FAC. The other 30% is shared according to population. So equality is 40%, population is 30%. So already 70%. Every state, if you are simply a state, you get 40%. If you have a large population, you get 30%. Then if you generate the income that is being shared, you only get 10%. That 10% is what we call derivation. This is minus the oil derivation. This is talking about, for instance, if Lagos State builds a deep sea port in Apapa and ships come to that deep sea port in Apapa, Lagos State is going to generate a lot of VAT. Not from the port, but all the trucks, all the banks, all the hotels, people coming in to clear their goods in Lagos, they are going to pay a lot of VAT to Lagos State government. Now, according to the current revenue allocation formula, which we look at the horizontal allocation formula, Lagos State is going to get 40% first of all because of equality. This is the revenue that Lagos State has generated. Lagos is going to send it to Abuja, and Abuja will send back to Lagos 40%. Then based on population, Abuja will send back to Lagos 30%, and that's it. Then Lagos State gets only 10% because it generated that revenue from building that deep sea port in Apapa. So derivation in Nigeria today is only 10%. Land mass is 10%. So if you are, for instance, a large state like Borno, you get more via land mass, you get more via population, of course you get equality. So the issue of you generating money is not there. You're not incentivized if you're a governor of a state with a large population and a large land mass to generate revenues. You don't have any incentive because you will still get 40% equality, 30% population, and 10% land mass. States like Lagos that are very, very small, of course, are going to lose that because they generate the wealth, but that wealth then gets shared out to the federal government in based on this point I'm talking about. So the entire thing that Tinubu is saying is, listen, we're going to increase VAT, but when we increase VAT, we want to make this derivation, this 10% derivation, we want to increase its sharing formula in the horizontal allocation, probably from 10% to 20%. It's not asking for anything too crazy. To increase that derivation, what that then means is this. If Lagos State then builds all those roads and airports that they are building and they get the revenues in, then Lagos will get to retain more of the revenues that Lagos has generated. So go back to VAT. Currently, right now, and again, this is the second thing again, when states charge VAT, when you pay VAT, you are paying VAT where the head office of the company is located. So let me give you a good example. Let's say you buy PMS, you buy fuel in, say, Owando filling station. There's Owando all across Nigeria, everywhere in Nigeria, right? Let's just assume, just for example's sake, when you buy gas in that Owando filling station in, say, Abia State, Owando's head office is in Lagos. So when you pump your gas, you pay VAT, right? The filling station will pay or collect VAT from you in Abia State. That VAT does not go to Abia State. It goes all the way to Lagos State. Why? Because the head office of Owando is in Lagos. So when Owando is paying FIRS taxes, i.e. is paying VAT to the FIRS, which is a federal agency, we will come to that again. It is paying VAT on every sales done on every location that is doing business in Nigeria. So Abia, Sokoto, Kainji, everybody will pay VAT in those individual states, but the individual state will transfer the funds to Lagos, and Lagos then pays VAT because Owando's head office is in Lagos. Part of what they are also saying is to say, listen, let us change how we are calculating VAT. Let VAT be paid at where it is consumed. Which means if, for instance, you buy gas in Abia or you buy gas in Jos, then that Owando filling station would pay VAT to the state in which it is located. So again, apart from even increasing the allocation to the state government by just increasing the VAT percentage, the state and local governments are also going to get an increase because the VAT would now be paid where the goods are supplied or consumed. So two major things there. So I'm a bit surprised when I see the quote-unquote North coming out against this. The only folks that should be against this are the politicians that are enjoying the free revenues. Because look at it this way. If you are from a state like Yobe State, you are of course getting the VAT coming from Nigeria. But anything you create in Yobe does not stay in Yobe is going back to Lagos to be shared back to you. So I would think that those states will be saying, listen, we want to keep our share of the gold, of the agriculture, of even the livestock feeds that we do and consume in the state. So you retain more of those revenues in the state. And also the people of UP are now going to elect governors who then want to grow revenues in UB, not waiting for FAC. Anybody can spend. But what Tinubu is trying to say is that, listen, generate the revenues in your state, then retain more of the revenues in your state. This is not a radical position. This was how Nigeria operated in 1970. 1970, guys, it's not far. 1970. As at 1970, let me give you a good example. When you export goods through the ports in Lagos, Lagos State or the Western region collected the excise duties, not Abuja. The region collected the excise duties, not Abuja. So, and this was as at 1970. The same way when you sold crude oil, the states paid a tax to Abuja. Abuja did not give the state revenues. So Rivers State would tax the oil companies and then remit to Abuja. Do you know how much Rivers State was remitting to Abuja? Guess the percentage. You would never guess. 13%. So that 13% that is now given to the states as derivation is exactly what the states or the regions were paying to the federal government as a tax on oil and gas. So you retain the revenues in your state with derivation and you paid a tax to the federal government, which is the way it should be in the federal government with fiscal federalism. The FIRS has no business collecting VAT in individual states. No business whatsoever. That's not a federal republic. So also, the states that VAT is collected have no business sharing that VAT with other states. Just like Lagos State does not share pay as you earn, that it collects in Lagos State with other states. It should not share VAT it collects in Lagos State with other states. Alright guys, I've spent 70 minutes talking. I'm going to stop there. So I can get you guys to hop in. And again, if you want to hop in through tweet, through DM, through speaking, let's have your views on this. It's a very, very technical issue. I'll try to really simplify it for you and to go straight to where the issue, which is that VAT allocation formula, and of course the VAT derivation formula. Because from VAT, if this passes, I assure you it will go to all revenue heads, not just VAT, it will go round. It will basically say pay as you earn, and everything would be more of derivation and not just land mass and equality. So Oxley, thanks for being the first guy to request to speak. Oxley, what's on your mind? Please go ahead. Hop in. I'm reading my DMs right now. Oxley, go ahead.
Thank you, Carlo. So, as regards the VAT, right, clearly we've seen that the pushback that we are getting from the North shows that there is actually something there. If there is nothing there, the North will not vote. Now, the way I see it is, VAT is a consumption tax, right? And in many plants, particularly in the US, for example, the VAT is even a county issue, it's a state issue. So it's a state issue, it's a county issue. So it's a consumption tax, right? So what I think that I don't know why the guys in the North are paranoid with that. All they should do is everybody should go to their state and stimulate consumption. Attract industry. It's not just attracting industry alone, but make consumption happen. And when consumption happens, production will also happen, right? So if everybody goes to their state and stimulate consumption, the people that are drinking alcohol in the South, maybe our brothers in the North might change their hearts to say, hey, we've been a little bit stringent on alcohol consumption. Maybe we can loosen it up a little bit and collect VAT from it. That's okay, right? So it's a conversation that is instead of the governments from the North trying to take a posture because they they would have done the math. Let's say the truth. They would have done the math and saw that, hey, where this thing is going, it may not favor them. Because I also think that the way we do things in Nigeria is also screwed up a little bit. You will see in the port, people pay VAT at the port for a consumption that has not happened in the port. If you go to the port, there are some importations that you do. There are some things that when you are paying certain duties, you see VAT there. What VAT? Is there any consumption going on at the port? You will still see those same goods. By the time they are moved around the country, they will still be VAT at the end point where consumption happens. You will see people charging VAT on raw materials, selling VAT on importation and all of that. So it's a new conversation to have. But I think that the derivation should remain. The way they have proposed it should remain. Okay. Everybody should go to the state and stimulate consumption.
I hear you.
Now, I also want to speak about one more thing, which is very quickly, which is the pay. I noticed, I got a complaint that beyond Lagos and Ogun State, some of the states around the country, in the north, in the southeast, in the north central, where they have banks. You know, banks are everywhere in the country. The only thing that is the head office are mostly in Lagos, right? Some of the states where the employees of those banks that are everywhere, the UBA, the First Bank, some of the states, some of these banks in Lagos don't remit the VAT, the payee of the employees that work in all the states. I know some states that struggle to get VAT, to even get the comprehensive list of staff that work in the branches of where those banks are in their state.
Sorry, Ox, I'm not sure where you're going to with this. Pay is collected only in your location. It's not collected in all the states. The governor, you only collect who lives in your state.
That's what I'm saying. That even that collection is not even happening as effective as it should, because even the banks don't even disclose the number of people that work in the locations in those states to even know how much that they are going to request.
How is that possible to say a bank doesn't know is them? Who they pay salaries?
I'm telling you, the only states that have gotten it right, mostly because of their proximity to Lagos, is Ogun.
So hold on. If I have a payroll, right? If I'm a bank, I have a payroll.
Yes.
So if I have a payroll, I have payee. It's simple.
It's simple, but it's not that simple, because you that is in Adamawa that has a UBA and a First Bank, you have to rely on the bank. You have to send a tax auditor to Lagos to be able to give you the list of staff of First Bank and UBA that works in Adamawa for you to now request for their payee.
I see what you're saying.
That's how difficult. I'm telling you how difficult it is, and the banks too have made it almost very difficult for some of these states. So you will see that the people that have gotten it right is only Ogun State because of that proximity.
Okay.
Because some people who live in Ogun State and work in Lagos, so it's only Ogun State that is actually benefiting mostly from the pay. Some of the states, find it very, very. When I got this information, I was shocked. Why would the banks be behaving in this manner?
Okay.
To not remit, give each of all the states whatever that is due to them in terms of pay.
I see what you're saying.
On the banks that they have.
No, I get your point now. That you're saying that because the state government cannot know the payroll of the banks, so they don't know who is
exactly, because the banks are in Lagos. They are all in Lagos. It's only LIRS, that is Lagos State Inland Revenue Service, that has the full access of those payroll lists. Because those banks are headquartered in Lagos.
True. I get your point now. But let me also talk about your point about beer and VAT. I think there's an imagination deficit sometimes in our governance. Let me give you an example of how the North can benefit from VAT. All the beef that Nigeria eats is from the North. I've gone to the cattle farm in Yobe. It's the largest, I think, in West Africa, I believe. I think they said there's one at the border, but down. So the one in Yobe, in Damaturu, is the largest, and there's one in Bauchi. It's the largest in West. If you go there, right, it's something to marvel at. You will see money, like on pallets. Money from Niger, money from Burkina Faso. It's on the floor, on the pallet. because they bring the cows, they exchange for different West African currencies, naira, this, sefa, and then they go, right? It's crazy. But what would happen if Yobe State says any cow leaving Yobe, we must receipt it. We must do the receipt in Yobe. So we would do invoice, do receipt, and collect VAT. That's it. So every state has got to get imaginative on how they can track commerce, capture commerce, and then impose a VAT on commerce. I don't want to pay tax, but I'm giving you a reason. It's because they are getting quote unquote free money from oil that they're not being imaginative. If all the beef, look at Niger State supplies power to Nigeria. There's Kainji, there's Shiroro. I think Zungeri is going to be there as well. So what if they impose a VAT on power leaving Niger State? That's also revenues for them. So it's not against the North. Actually, we've got to move the room. It's not only against the North and beer, but we have the folks that are against this, again, I say, are the politicians, not the people of the North. The people of the North, this will actually benefit them because they can expand their economy. Then they would have to then elect leaders that can grow revenues. I tell this data statistics all the time. When Nigeria was created, the region that earned the highest amount of forex for Nigeria was the North, exporting groundnuts, not cocoa, not rubber, not palm oil. It was the North exporting groundnuts. Sometime the North got seduced by crude oil and left groundnut oil and started using crude oil, and now they are the poorest region. So the North has got to really count what it has gained and lost from crude oil.
Sorry, Carlo, 30 seconds. Let me say it. There are a lot of informal markets or informal markets where consumption takes place. And that is the reason why this VAT collection is not efficient. For example, if you go to an abattoir, as dirty as unsaid it is, there is no receipting going on. So some of these informal areas should actually be formalized. Abattoir should look like you are going to a niche store, where when they kill a goat for you, they will give you an invoice, and it enters into maybe a kind of accounting system where the levels, let's say the state auditors, the state tax collectors can come into your accounting system and say, just like they do for supermarkets and malls, those guys have an accounting system where every receipt that is printed out for any goods purchase is VAT. So they will just print from the back end. They will just go to the back end and print all the sales that happen within the period. And it's so simple. So there are a lot of informal markets. You have the tomato market. There are so many things that are coming from the north. Yam, tomato, cabbage, carrots. Nobody is writing any receipt for anything. Everything is just happening based on cash. So there is no way you can even track. Some of the things that are going on and have a tax auditor, a tax firm coming to say, okay, this is what is due to the government, and So we need to stop all this informal market. I'm trying to formalize it.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should stop it. But like you have said, we should make it, institutionalize it, and collect taxes. That's the point again that this tax reform would bring. It would force every state, every local government to go to points of commerce and institutionalize it. If you don't record it, you can't tax it. That's where that's the opportunity Tinubu is bringing, and so that's why I'm saying I'm surprised that people are against it, because this is going to boost your economy. I'll give you an example of cattle, like you said, cabbage, carrots. If you then start to impose VAT on carrots, on cabbage, on tomato leaving the north, that's a huge revenue stream. The same way the South is going to impose tax on PMS leaving the South, also a huge revenue stream. So in the end, there's going to be a net off. So you then have the state now operating as fiscal federating units and not as slaves of Abuja. Let me get Abuchi. Abuchi, you've got the floor, sir. Please go ahead. What's your take on this matter?
Good evening, Uncle Kalu.
How's it doing?
Fine, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I think this fiscal policy is good for everybody that wants to work. Because if you are talking about the North can also leverage on their area of strength, which is ship level. You know, if, like you are saying, if the institution is, if the command is institutionalized, the north can also leverage on ship level, and not just exportation of foodstuffs and other things. You know the saying that when a bad behavior is rewarded, it can only get worse. I think that's the scenario that is playing out here. Then I'm moving on to question. Please, I want you to clear.
Could you speak up, please, if you don't mind? Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I want you to expatiate on the aspect of landmass and the population, using Lagos and Borno, for instance, in terms of landmass and population. That's the 10% for population, 10% for landmass. So please, can you use Borno and Lagos as a case study? Let's see. I want to see the working principle, how it works. Thank you.
Yeah, so the revenue allocation in Nigeria states that you share allocation based on number one, equality, based on number two, population. So equality is 40%, population is 30%. Then you then get to, those are the big boys. You then get to land mass and the rest and derivation are 10%. So take Lagos. Lagos has a land mass of 3,496 square meters, 3,496 square meters. Borno has 75,541 square meters land mass. So essentially, on the land mass issue, Lagos will get less than Borno. But that landmass is deceptive because no one lives in all the landmass of Borno. But you can hardly go 100 meters in Lagos and not find anybody, right? So in effect, when Lagos is creating the revenues, they might earn equality, which is not, why should they build the infrastructure, so they should get the funds coming back to them. But they're already getting shortchanged on equality. Okay, they have population, that is fine. But on IGR, on landmass, they get shortchanged. The largest states in Nigeria are Borno, Niger, Taraba, Bauchi, Yobe, Kaduna, Adamawa, Kebbi, Zamfara, Kwara, Sokoto. Largest landmass states. The smallest landmass states are Lagos, Anambra, Abia, Imo, Ekiti, Ebonyi, Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Osun. So if you look at, I'm just being technical here. There is no basis to use landmass to share revenues. You can't go to America and say Wyoming, that is massive and has maybe 100,000 people, should then share revenues with, it doesn't really make that. So does it make, have I answered that question? Okay, I think it's dropped off. Let me get Legacy for Real. Legacy for Real, got the floor. Legacy. Legacy for Real, you got the floor, sir. Okay, OEI, how are you doing? Erapose. OEI, you've got the floor. So let me go to DM. Someone is asking, Kalu, please.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, OEI, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good evening. I think the signal is kind of weak. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Hello?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm currently calling from Philippines. So I wanted to make a contribution about the guy who made reference to the tax collection. Basically, the system in Nigeria is kind of very porous, maybe because people aren't really fixated on the local governments. You understand? I think the whole issue of receipts implementation and making available for taxation should be done by the local governments. I will give you an example. On simple commodities like tomato, chili, agricultural products, the local governments have the prices they set for those items weekly, sometimes weekly, monthly, depends on supply and demand. So that way, everything supplied to the local markets are monitored. So they have at least an idea of how much these guys got and how much should be coming back to them in taxation. In the markets, they have people who implement them even on scale. So even if you go to, let's say, the next market to you there, you know that, okay, if they are selling tomato 100 naira, it will be maximum 110 naira or maybe 90, depends on the amount the person bought. So if they are going to hold the true federalism truly in Nigeria, I think it will be very simple. It's just that people don't really want to put effort to make things work out. Simple commodities that maybe produces in the north or maybe in the south could easily be monitored. Then they make sure. Then for someone said something about the POS too. I heard about the POS system. It's maybe if the market, enough people are not bringing in taxes, then those POS people like Money Point, who are giving POS to people on the road to make extra money, they could branch some of all these people selling in the market and help them do documentation. It just takes simple education, and government could easily have access to get those information which could be used for enough taxation. That's my contribution. I think in our system it could work. We just need to put effort.
I think it's a great contribution. Great contribution because it has to really start from the local government. And I think this is the beauty of this suggestion or this proposal by Tinubu. It would make local government areas really now become real federating units and make them profitable. Because once we realize that if we receive something, the revenue stays in local government area. My local government area does a lot of cassava, and nobody even bothers to even track anything. But now the local government guys would now be receipting cassava that is leaving because they know the revenues will come back to that local government. So that's the beauty of this. It starts from local government, revenues will stay back, and we can get that positive side of it. Legacy, you're on the call. What's up?
Yeah, good evening.
How are you doing, sir? You got the floor. What's your take on the tax proposal by Tinubu? We're talking about that. We're talking about the real issue, which is the VAT. We've talked about the current derivation formula, how it's been shared. We've talked about the proposal that Tinubu is asking the states and local governments to adopt, which is take more VAT, but increase derivation. Is that fair? Are you in support? What's your take?
Yes, I'm actually in support of it, but in fairness, I actually wanted us to practice true fiscal federalism, being a nation state. However, we are not in practicality of the federalism. You notice that even the federal system that we are practicing, you notice double taxation. The goods, the consumption tax that have been paid for at the entrance, you still pay for them at the mall, leading to high cost of goods. So how can we eliminate double tax, double VAT? That's my question. It's actually a question. How can we eliminate it?
I think the only way you pay double VAT is if you don't have you as a business, you have VAT in, VAT out. So if you are paying double VAT, you haven't really registered yourself as a VAT collector. So if I buy generator, maybe I'm a distributor of VAT in Abia State, I buy generator from Yamaha. Yamaha in Lagos will charge me VAT. When I go to Abia and I sell my generator, I will charge you VAT. I use net, I pay the net VAT. So really, if I am properly registered, I should not pay double VAT. The problem comes, number one, if you're not properly registered. And number two, if you go to Lagos State, for instance, you are paying VAT and you are paying consumption tax. I'm going to mute you. You are paying VAT and you are also paying consumption tax. That case went to court, and the court said Lagos was legally allowed to charge consumption tax because we're a federation. I don't want to pay two taxes in Lagos State, but that is the fact. Lagos State has no business, or the federal government has no business collecting VAT in Lagos. That VAT or that consumption tax should be collected only by the Lagos Internal Revenue Service. That's all. The federal government has no business. You can't take VAT in Lagos and share. That's not how a federation works. So even though it's a double burden on me, Lagos is right to collect that consumption tax if the federal government has refused to negotiate on the VAT. So now that negotiation is going on, And I believe that if this proposal goes through, then there will be no point charging a consumption tax in Lagos with this new proposal, because it's now a multiple tax on consumption, which I think is where they are going to. Legacy.
So the point is very clear to me now. So because if that is implemented, we'll have a true federalism in the making, fiscal federalism in the making. Because right now, those who sit down because of land mass to want to get from the oil producing state, since we are really relying on oil, they don't want to do anything. So it's a wake up call for everybody.
It is. It is. And it's not.
You get more. If you produce less, it's going to show.
Precisely.
So it's not going to be a regular tea party.
Precisely.
So that also now, if they increase the percentage of the VAT, making it state generated, and also reducing the one that comes from the percentage that comes from the national FAA, and reduce it, every state will work hard.
Literally, if you pass this policy today, many things will happen. You won't have lazy governors again, because now what will the governor say? The people will say, but this state is collecting revenues. Why are you not collecting revenues? This state is doing this. It will be competition now. All the states would now want to compete on reducing, not increasing tax, reducing tax, so that companies can come to their state. So they want to go to Dangote and say, Dangote, come and open up a factory in my state. I will give you VAT at 2%, not 10%. I will give you PE at 1%, not 5%. Because when Dangote comes, he's bringing commerce. And with more commerce, there is more taxes. Now, what Nigerians are doing is we're taxing 100% on one person, when we should be taxing 100 people 1%. It's not the same answer. It's not the same answer.
Taxing 100% from one person.
Correct. It was not the same.
Basically, states like River State particularly, they should focus more. But I also have view from this Niger State. How can Niger State, because federal government wants to, because of the concurrent nature, for example, the sharing formula of the power in the Nigerian constitution, the exclusive, the concurrent, and the residual power makes federal government exclusively own certain infrastructure in certain states. So I don't know how they intend to delegate that power.
You know the way you kill an elephant or a whale is with small cuts. You can't do everything all at once. I think they've started off with going after fiscal federalism. Look at it this way: if this passes, then it now makes sense to go back to power and say, well, Niger State has Kanji Dam, so Niger State can collect VAT on Kanji Dam. I think that's how they are going. You can't pass every bill once. This single bill is 4. There are 4 bills in this. So imagine they start to bring in other things. It will be 20 bills. So to get lost. So this is to say the real intent of this bill, all the 4 are important, but this is going to the heart of the matter: derivation and VAT. And it's not landmass, it is this equality principle, which is that federal character. You see why you don't have power in Nigeria, then to my northern friends listening, is because you have a federal power grid that says that power must go all across Nigeria. When Tinubu was a governor, Tinubu brought Enron to Lagos. Enron brought barges, they produced power, and Tinubu wanted those power to stay only in Lagos. The federal government said no, because the law says that if you generate power, it has to go to a national grid, and national grid will share that power according to federal character. That's why if you look at Yobe, look at Borno, they are pulling their power from Kanji and from the Niger Delta. How is it possible that you are going to pull power all the way from those far locations? Physics says the more you transmit power, the more you lose it. But it's this federal character thing. So you go to our sharing formula. What is equality? Why should you be equal? Are all the states equal? Do all the states want to go at an equal pace? So why is equality 40%? Why should the states build a port and then you take the revenues and give to other states? It doesn't make any sense. Population, I can understand. If you have more, yes, you should get more. I get population. But not equality, not landmass. Makes no sense to me. Olumide, you've got the floor. Legacy, thanks a lot. Olumide, what's on your mind?
Thank you. Good evening, Jerry. So I just wanted to drop 1 or 2 cents. No, I'm not a tax consultant or a tax expert. But I'm looking at it from the Nigerian economy. For me, I highlighted the support for fiscal federalism around the tax reforms. I don't think anything will make much difference, and this is my opinion. So look at this case study. Look at the formation of the NGDC and the oil sharing revenue to oil producing states. Look at in the last 15 years, take a case study of Delta, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, and the Bayelsa. You will notice that these states get more FAC allocation than the rest of the states. But if you look at level of development, major index, poverty, education, industrial, LTI, that zone is one of the worst zones. Now, I now try to understand why VAT is inefficient in Nigeria. So if you look at the case study, VAT was created actually in France, 1954. And the objective was to uniform, because the French system is more of a welfare socialist. So they believe that getting the tax at the start of business production was more efficient. If you look at it, Americans, they rely on sales tax at the end until it says that's when the taxes. So while you look at the merit and merit, I feel that the major issue in Nigeria is not really the tax reforms. Well, it really helped, but like you said, the collection. I think the issue is the political system. Nigeria's political system is unsustainable. If you look at the NGI collection, if you look at the way the system has been created, even the president, because look at it, the president tried to use his authority, local government and autonomy. They want it, states are not implementing it. If you look at states are asking for more, some powerful senators are asking for more states. And if you look at the recent IGR numbers, when you have a place like Kwara getting more than Kano, somebody is telling me that it's not a measure of economic activity. I understand that. But if you look at GDP, if you look at the GDP, you look at it in relationship to productivity and how the country has grown state by state, you see why a lot of people are still skeptical about the tax reform. That's my own take.
So, you know, there was a great, I think it was Mr. What's his name? That economist, that Teriba. I think it was Mr. Teriba said once a long time ago that IGR is not a function of the economy. I'm paraphrasing, but a function of honesty. There was a time way back in some time ago, Delta State or Sokoto was posting a higher IGR than Delta State. That was his point back then, that it's what you record. If your civil service is honest and efficient.
Carlo, I get it. But let's be honest. Look at it. There are 50 states in America. 3 states take 1/5 of the economic activity. And how do you see?
But how do we know those 3 states take 1/5 of the economic activity? How do we know those 3 states?
Look at GDP of those. Look at GDP. And
what was the large GDP? What was large GDP in Nigeria done? What was the last GDP in Nigeria?
Yeah, but Carlo, I get it. But we are looking at reverse. We are looking at, okay, like we're waiting for MBS. But according to multinational agencies, they already have our GDP. So if you look at the case of, okay, let's look at the case of Nigeria, for example. We are a country of over 200 million people. Our GDP has almost up to about $250 billion. You look at economic activity. How many states can really bring in $1 billion revenue? I was trying to look at, let's not even use let's not use IGR. Let's look at the production capacity of each state. It's dismissal. Bayelsa has no business recording the highest number of poor people in Nigeria. It's just behind Sokoto or Zamfara. I can't remember the one of the state. So it tells you that IGR also shows the level of economic, because you see, if you look at the numbers, Ogun, Rivers, you see key pointers. You see states that are also reforming. You see some states growing. So, for example, I was supporting Anambra. Anambra is an old state, it's a systemic state. It has no business when Ekiti that we often tag Ekiti as more like an auxiliary is getting close to what Anambra is getting. See, the truth of the matter is the states are incapacitated. They are not functioning. And until we accept that, we will not move forward. Because, see, you cannot explain a state getting free money, not bringing FGIs. Half of the population of that state is poor. Food inflation is at its record. Look at food inflation, Carl. Okay, you are saying that, okay, I was saying that, okay, let's assume that this is not an efficient way of checking those. The pointers where states are responsible for, like food inflation, is high. Basic education, horrible. Half of the Southeast that's made good improvement in basic education. Southwest, Northeast, Northwest, North Central, horrible. If you look at Nigeria, because an FCT is the only state that is showing some sort of improvement, and it's not because they are also very good, it's because of the federal advantage they have. So it basically shows that many of these states are just like Humpty Dumpty economically. And we face the key issues, the fact that we need to reform our political system. 36 states for Nigeria cannot support the Nigerian economy. Okay. Nigeria is able to manage the kind of federalism we are reaching.
I think it's an issue of non-recording and that the economy is not functional. I'll give you a good example. If you ask everybody on this space, if we do this poll and you ask everybody on this space, where does the fresh fish you eat in your state come from? Let's do a poll. If you think, I don't know how I can do a poll, but if I ask that question, very few will get the answer of the state where your fresh fish comes from. Very few will get that state. Very few. Who knows the state? You can DM. Let me give you two options. Let me give you Rivers State and Borno State. Does the fish come from Rivers State or from Borno State? Your fresh fish that you eat, where does the fish come from?
Rivers to Borno. It used to be from the Chad. It used to be from the Chad. I know where you're going. It used to be from.
So you know what I'm going to with this? But what I'm going to with this? What I'm going to is that I've gone to that fish market in Borno. If you go there, it's unbelievable. All the fish I see in Lagos, in Abia, is from Borno, but it's not that Borno still is not recorded. If tomorrow now Borno,
it comes as dry fish.
Whatever it comes as, it comes in cartons. Like if you go to do youth service in Borno, that's what the coppers do. They take money and start to export fish. If you record all that fish, let me point. If you record that fish that's leaving Borno today, Borno's IGR would now start to get near Ogun State. It's not Why won't you agree?
I don't agree.
Where is the Ogun State? Where is the Ogun State? Ogun State IGR, if you break it down, is Agbara and the industry near Lagos. After that, where is it coming from?
I do. Can you see? I'm not even looking at the fact that Ogun State IGR is even horrible. I'm saying that our excuse that the fact that it's not captured is not good enough. China's economy has a high percentage in the informal sector. In fact, I was looking at the numbers on Bloomberg a few hours ago that the country has extra $3 trillion in the informal sector. Let me explain something to you. You cannot hide economic activity, no matter how, whether it's informal or informal, you cannot hide it. What I'm saying is that the economy is incapacitated. Even the fact that it's not recorded. See, look at indexes. What is the generating capacity of the
But you can hide it. This is the point I'm making. Before Nigeria rebased her economy, Nollywood was not captured in Nigerian GDP. Then Nigeria recorded Nollywood. Nollywood alone, under services, made Nigeria the largest economy in Africa. Before then, it was not recorded. Nollywood as a subsector is the largest employer of labor in Nigeria. That is the food, the films, the catering, the actors, the TV, the everything, the musicians, the remixes, all those guys. Together is what made Nigeria the largest economy in Africa. So you can hide it. This is the point I'm making. I'll give you another example. When UAC had Mr. Biggs, Mr. Biggs back, put our young one understand. Mr. Biggs back then was like going to a night club. It was like going to a very, very posh place. you would dress up and go to Mr. Biggs when they first came. So Mr. Biggs, when Mr. Biggs comes to your state, that means your state has arrived. Your state has arrived. For a long time, Mr. Biggs did not go to any southeastern state because and I'm giving you direct quotes here. The narrative was that in the southeast they drink nkwobi and whatever, they don't understand fast food. I'm not going to mute you, right? So now Mr. Biggs said, okay, let us try one. Let us try one Mr. Biggs. And they went to Aba, just one Mr. Biggs. When they went to Aba, the Aba Mr. Biggs to date was the highest grossing Mr. Biggs they had. Highest grossing. The point is that you can hide commerce if you don't record it. There are many bastions of commerce going on in Nigeria. I told about the cattle farm in Damaturu. I have gone there in Yobe. It's the largest in West Africa. It's not recorded. The largest yam farm in Nigeria is in Benue, Ubi. Largest yam farm in the whole of, it's maybe in Africa, is in Benue. It's not recorded. Every yam living there is not captured. When only the last example, when they do GSM in Nigeria, what did the chairman of Orange say? He says Nigerians are earning $1 a day. How can they afford mobile phones? He didn't come. MTN came. Now Nigeria is MTN's largest contributor to profit. So it is possible to hide income. So many states we call dead in Nigeria. Once you start to track IGR per local government, you go this shock. Let me go ahead.
Okay, Carl, I accepted just for a fluidity of the conversation, but I want to give you just one evidence. So if you look at the Americans, for example, because when they want to evaluate the Chinese economy, they often are suspicious about their economic data. But there's something they always say that you cannot hide: the electricity consumption. If you look at data, for example, you will see that no matter whether the economy is informal or formal, electric consumption reveals the true identity of Nigeria, of an economy. If you come back to Nigeria, for example, if you look at from the stock market, capital market, to major indicators of the economy, you see that the thing that was really bringing so much activity to our economy was oil and government activity. Apart from oil and government activity, and probably the banking service network, and in the last 10 years, okay, telecoms, which are also in trouble because they have to increase tariffs to be sustainable with MTN's recent results. It tells you that we don't really have a functional economy. I understand the fact that you're saying that we have a large chunk of activity in the informal side, but I'm saying the informal side is not as big as people try to make it look. It's not. Carlo, honestly, that's my own take.
Yeah, I hear you. And again, just for discussion to go along, I'm not saying, again, if you look at the GDP Nigeria pools, largest contribute GDP is agriculture, then you have services, then you have ICT. The point I make is this: you can only record what you see. If it's not recorded, it does not exist. I argue with someone on Twitter over this quote I made. He said, I said, if it is not recorded, it does not exist. Aba is the largest SME cluster in Africa. It's not recorded. Hence, it does not exist. If you go to Kano, you will be shocked the amount of industries in Kano. Go to Bauchi, you will be shocked the amount of industries in Bauchi. Not mushroom, that were built, tile companies, aluminum companies that are dead today. They don't exist, they are not recorded. It's not to say that they are working, but the country is not looking at what is happening inside the country. We are exporting. If you look at the imports we make and the foreign reserves we make, they don't jive. That tells you a lot of the commerce is happening without the CBN, without the federal FAC. It's happening on its own. When you try to change dollars, you see the amount of cash pool are bringing back when we try to change currency. The cash pool brought back and the cash CBS in circulation, it did never jived. There's a lot of cash and commerce happening outside the economy that is not being recorded. And when we have this tax, when states and local governments understand that if they track it, they can tax it, then it will happen. The only reason why the North was making money from groundnut oil is that they were tracking at the state and local level. That's why they were reporting. Same thing with rubber, same thing with cocoa. If you simply allow federal government from Abuja to come and track cocoa in Oyo, nothing will happen there. The federal government they don't own any land, they have no incentive to do anything. Ikoyi Realtors, we got you, sir. Ikoyi Realtors, only they don't go anywhere, I'll stay right there. Ikoyi Realtors, go ahead, Ikoyi. Ikoyi going once, Ikoyi go. Ken, what's on your mind? Ken Uti. Ken Utai.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, for me, what I would like to say about this topic, I heard about it during the week, and it sounded really good to hear. I would like to see how it will be implemented, because that's what the challenge will be, because we already had one block of the country giving reasons why they would not accept it, and coming together to form a block and speaking in that manner might be an impediment to it. But let's see how it goes. But for me, I think it's a very good thing for the country. But again, it's the mechanism of how it will work. At the end of the day, the federal government must put in place, mechanisms to be able to capture citizens and businesses in terms of activities, what is going on, and how these VATs and taxes can actually come into the purse of the government. Yes, the state governors also have work to do. A lot of them, what they do is they just stay in Abuja, majority of the months, major days of the month, and go back to their state when it's time to share their state allocations. That's what they do at the end of the day. They all stay in Abuja. But what this will do now is it will force them to be productive at their state level and also local government level. But I see a big role here for the banks. And I would explain what I think the banks need to do. Of course, that would have to come with some regulations from the government, CBN to the banks, to ensure that businesses in some sort. I don't know how they'll make it work. In a way, I would say oblige for them to declare their activities in a way, so that the government can have activities to mechanism to be able to see what those companies are doing, small businesses, so that they can capture these VATs accordingly where it is. A lot of small businesses in Nigeria, are unbanked. They are just operating with their personal account. But so how do you capture all these businesses? We have them in the hundreds of thousands.
I think it's all going to be these are all tactical questions, right? Once the law is passed and then people see the effect of it, and it's the people that will actually force the implementation. Because what would happen, again, look at my local government area. We do a lot of cassava in my local government area, but that's it. We do cassava, we take it to Aba, it's exported. The Chinese came to Nigeria to buy cassava, $1 billion. They couldn't get it. Now, if people know that the local government knows that if they tax cassava, they're getting millions back, they will tax cassava. And then if they start to tax cassava, the local people that know the local chairman will say, okay, you've taken my money, let me see you buy a new car. They can easily get to them. So the level of theft is lower at the local council level because people know you. Your kids are there, your wife is there, you are there. So you have a revolution in terms of fiscal federalism will then spur this democracy. The reason why America functions is that the local county level functions. You have sheriffs. They fix roads locally. They don't, whether Trump wins or Kamala wins, they will still fix the road every summer. School bus will still come. It doesn't matter whether it's Kamala or Trump. And that's the way we are deficient in Nigeria because there is no linkage between taxes and development. I posted recently, people are celebrating IGR in front of the bad road of their house. You should rather take that IGR and say, I pay taxes and my governor fixed my road. So you other states, let your governor take IGR and fix your own state. That's what I want to see. I want us to be yapping ourselves that, my governor has fixed road. My governor has built hospital. Has your own governor done it? That's what I want. Let us go tribal on that. Not tribal of my mother is Yoruba, my father is not nonsense. IGR should be linked to development so that when you pay those taxes, if you live in California, you pay high taxes. If you live in Texas, you pay low taxes. What happened in America? People are leaving California to Texas. So what is California doing? They might change their policy they want. If they don't change their policy, they die. Like Michigan, those cities are dead. We have to have the same in Nigeria, Ken. And I think that's why this overall tax policy is a very, very good start. Because once the policy is initiated, then we can then do these tactical things to, okay, who do we tax? Who do we not tax? All the northern governors now can say, okay, no problem. You want to do VAT on the elevation, any tomato living in the north, you pay 10% tax. If the south doesn't like it, they should go and farm their own tomato. That's how you have innovation. That's how you have the state becoming laboratories of change and development. We can't have a nation where people just sit down and then they sell oil and then we're celebrating. I saw a report that they say Ogun is the only state that can survive. No state in Nigeria can survive without crude oil, including Lagos State. No state in Nigeria can survive without crude oil, including Lagos State. Less than 5% of Nigerians have 500,000 in their pocket. And that's with crude oil. Remove crude oil, where is the commerce going to happen? Who will go to the markets in Lagos if there's no crude oil? Who will stay in the hotels? Who will employ people in Lagos to get the pay? So let's get serious as a nation. That's the point of this space. We've got to get serious. The president's tax policies are sound. And it's not a new thing. 1970, Nigeria was operating on exactly the same model Tinubu is talking about. It's not new. As at 1970, again, remember, if you are exporting goods out of Nigeria, you paid excise duties to the Western government, not to Abuja, quote unquote. You don't pay to the Lagos federal government. You pay to the Western federal government if you are exporting goods out of Nigeria. Same way with oil. The oil states paid the tax to quote unquote Lagos, which was the Abuja back then. So it was in military in 1970 that created FARC, that made all revenues go to the federal government, made oil become a federal asset, and then shared the oil revenues. And then you have the North that was giving Nigeria the highest forex revenues from groundnut. I've shared it. If you want to share, I'll share again. The North was giving Nigeria the highest forex revenues as at 1962. They went from funding Nigeria to being a case where they had to wait for oil from Bayelsa before Kano would pay salaries. How can that be a nation? Frank, what's on your mind?
Oh, good evening, Carlo. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. So, before I make my presentation, I remember that you're talking about Mr. Dix, former Imo State Governor, Odenwa.
Yeah.
When he was asked to give account of his stewardship for 8 years,
Yeah.
he said, even if he didn't achieve anything, all the service to Imo State.
Yeah, yeah. It was a big thing. You know, if you say it now, people won't get what you're saying. And I'm giving you first-hand story. I'm not giving you second-hand. First-hand UAC food story. First-hand. If UAC comes to your state, right, you have arrived. Go ahead, sir. No, it's true.
Yeah, so I'm going back to the VAT issue. I have an issue with that section 146.
Let's go to
where
146.
They are proposing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Where's the VAT? Yep.
Yeah, the increments 12%, 2025,
Yeah.
10%, sorry, 2025, 12, 15.
Yep.
You know VAT consumption you get.
Yep.
And it's kind of linked to inflation. Abi?
Yeah.
It's linked to inflation. Now, did they do a study? Was there any independent study that was carried out to show that by these years that they are pointing out, the economy is going to be robust enough for Nigerians to be able to pay 15% VAT?
You are bringing up. I want to separate this topic into two. I'm going to do a space on the personal impact of this tax policy to you because there are lots of exemptions, but make no mistake, people, this tax thing that Tinubu has also proposed is a huge tax hike. Like Frank has said, VAT is going to go up. There's also going to be education tax. They're going to tax the companies a new 4% education tax to pay for the students' loan scheme. It's also in this bill.
I don't think so. It's no longer the 2%, I mean 2.5 that we pay now.
In addition, there's going to be a new 4% tax on companies that are going to fund the students' loan. The other one, TET fund, is the 2% going to TET fund. This is going to fund the students' loan. So 4%, yeah, new one. So it's a tax hike. And that's
my final presentation.
Yeah.
In practice, because I'm a consultant, in practice, VAT is one of the most riddled taxes with corruption. You're supposed to claim your input. I will wait, I'm coming. You're telling someone you're supposed to claim your input. When you make purchases, you pay VAT, you're supposed to knock it off against your sales. Do you remember when you said that some minutes back?
Yes, sir.
Good. The FIRS, most times, they will reject your input. I'm telling you, you can confirm from any consultants. They will reject your inputs. Even if you bring receipts, invoices, they'll tell you that they don't buy.
I hear you, sir. I hear you. But we can fix that with technology, can't we? We can fix that with technology. If FIRS goes away and you have a state with technology, we can fix that. I mean, it's a problem. Like saying this corruption is a problem, but it's fixable. But the structure is what Tinubu is trying to change.
I really hope, because if this tax goes up with the with all those unwritten taxes that businesses face, from agro boys to local government to all these unwritten and unrecorded taxes, that it's going to be a mess.
I mean, I hear you. And again, Agboro in Lagos is even organized. It's even organized. Go to other states. You don't track all these things. If you go to when we're doing this cashless back then during the last December cashless, they were saying pay with card, not tap and pay. If you introduce tap and pay, you solve a lot in the country. If you eliminate cash, it's easier to track transactions, easier to get VAT receipts up. So if you really want, as a governor, if you really want to create a lot of revenues, you want to try to move towards a tap and pay or cashless society where you can track most of these things. Little barcode on the woman selling pepper. You put your barcode there, you can tell her sales, who has paid, and all that. Just putting your barcode on her pepper stand. This is 2024. It's not impossible to do. Just give her something on her wrist. She can keep it there. If anybody buys, you tap your phone, you buy pepper. The tax guy comes, taps the QR code, collects his tax, and goes away. So it's not impossible to do. Nigeria has a very, very high IT adoption rate. We are very, very innovative. And we can make these local solutions, take into advantage of this. But we can't do anything unless we change the structure. Nigeria's structure is fundamentally wrong. You cannot have a country that rewards equality, population, above derivation and education. So look again, guys, look at the allocation. I shared it on my handle. Health is 4%. Education is 4%. Health is 3%. Water is 3%. Let me explain to you. If a state government borrows money from the World Bank and builds a water purification factory or water purification plant and supplies clean drinking water to all its residents, it would only get 3% for that effort. But if the same state government tells its people to just have babies, population just have babies, it would get 30%. So if you're a governor and you're a rational governor, would you take money and build a waterworks when you only get 3% back from the FAC? It doesn't make any sense. So the structure is wrong. You can't fight corruption when you are only rewarding education with 4%, health with 3%, and water with 3%. That's why your water doesn't work. Whatever you track, you get. If your water is 3%, why would the governor invest in waterworks when they can get 70% from equality and population? Why would he build waterworks? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Let's get that's all right. Okechukwu Lewanya Okechukwu. Lewanya, are you there? Lewanya. Going once. Cyrus Ademola. How are you doing, sir? Cyrus.
Yeah, thank you.
much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
All right, so I think I have some issues with this new tax bill, and of course we can emphasize like the things it's going to do, it's not going to do. But how will you reconcile, for example, import duty or import VAT, logistics, and then to the state that you are being paid? For example, states that are by the port where they are being processed, and the state that probably the vehicle is going. You know, and it's being used. So I think there's some kind of problem there, don't you think?
Not really. First of all, import VAT is nonsense. I don't know what Nigeria is calling import VAT, but let's assume import VAT is valid. If I work for Coscharis and I import the BMW lands in Lagos, right? So I pay import VAT to who? To Lagos. I take the BMW to my showroom in Lagos. I've already paid VAT, Abi. If somebody then comes from Kogi to buy the VAT, I charge him VAT. I get my VAT back. So, Coscharis Lagos is in the clear. The guy takes that BMW to Kogi and drives the car. If he's the final consumer, he pays VAT. If he sells that car in Kogi, if he sells it to Alhaji AA Kogi, Alhaji AA Kogi will pay the VAT. He will pay me VAT. Alhaji AA Kogi will pay him VAT. So, it's the final consumer that pays, where the final consumer is consuming the product. If the final consumer is in Lagos, Lagos enjoys the VAT. If the final consumer is in Kogi, Kogi enjoys the VAT. That's the change that Tinubu is going towards, so that it allows.
But you've already paid VAT, like import VAT, on the car that was imported to the country, right? Yeah. And then you drive it to another place for sales, and you pay another VAT on it. So I don't pay
on that VAT. I don't pay on that VAT. So let me say it again slowly, right? So let me say it again. If I import the BMW to Lagos, right, I pay the VAT to Lagos State. So I've paid VAT 100 naira to Lagos. Right? I've paid it. If somebody from Kogi comes to buy the BM from me, he will pay me VAT of say 90. So what have I paid? 10 in and out. So I've paid only $10. Sorry, 10 naira. I paid Lagos 100. The Kogi guy paid me 90. What I've paid is 10. The Kogi guy takes the car from Lagos. If he drives that car in Lagos, he pays under VAT. He pays a VAT final consumer. He pays to Lagos. But if he drives that car to Kogi and sells the car to Mr. Alhaji Kogi, the Alhaji Kogi in Kogi State, because the car is going to be registered in Kogi State, will then pay the VAT to the Kogi State government. So I don't pay. The dealer that bought the car from me does not pay. It is the final user that registers the car that is going to pay. Does that make clear? Is it clearer?
It's clear. I get what you're saying, but it's not just in terms of like import VAT. It's also like VAT on maybe telecommunication, where the call is being made and who is being charged. And also keep in mind that most of these telecommunication companies, they also like it's their headquarters that at the end of the day calculate the VAT and then allocate it to the government. So it's usually like most of these states have the headquarters in Lagos, mostly Lagos. So it seems for me that it's not equitable enough, whereby the service is being provided for in other places, and then just because the VAT is being calculated in a certain location because they have like the infrastructure and the IT and everything, they are the ones that have been collecting. So it doesn't. That part also
but that's what
and many others like that are happening.
That's what Tinubu is trying to change, to say that let's take VAT. MTN's headquarters is in Lagos. So if I make a call from Aba to Sokoto, I pay that VAT call to Lagos, which is wrong. Now Tinubu is saying when I make a call from Aba, the cell site is in Aba. There's a cell site in Sokoto. Between Aba and Sokoto, they will share that VAT on that call. Just an example, they will share the VAT on that call between Sokoto and Aba, not Lagos. It doesn't matter if Lagos, MTN service is in Lagos. That's what Tinubu is saying. So the head office location will no longer be the factor to calculate VAT, to be where the goods are supplied or consumed. In this case, making a call is the consumption. So I pay the VAT in Lagos and so I'm giving an example. Don't hold me to say telecom. No, no, no. I'm saying where it is consumed is where it is going to be paid, not where the office of the company charging you that good and service is located. That's the point. Hope it's clear now. All right.
Yes. Okay. Okay. One last thing, just to conclude the whole thing. There's also the issue of multiplicity of taxes of these consumer tax. For example, Lagos has what it calls consumption tax on certain goods in hotels, event center, and whatnot. And there are other places too where they have all these taxes that they collect from market women, from barbers, and whatnot. So for me, I feel like a better reform would be like, why not just make this whole VAT system a localized thing? Let state themselves collect their tax, their VAT.
Cyrus, you are saying the exact same thing in the bill. That's what's in the bill. They are saying make VAT local. That's what they are saying. By derivation, the derivation is it's like making it local, because when you then create the VAT, the percentage of derivation is going to increase. So in effect, when you consume something in Aba, the derivation goes to Aba, not the head office of the company. That's what they are saying, Cyrus. That's what the bill is saying. On your multiple, if you look at the Nigerian tax bill, the aim is to eliminate multiple taxation and simplify tax obligation. So there are 4 bills. The Nigerian tax bill will eliminate the multiple. So like the consumption tax and the VAT in Lagos tax, those ones should go away and be replaced by VAT, because Lagos will then collect that VAT locally, and Lagos will then have 20%, not today that they're having 10% derivation. That's what they are trying to achieve with this new policy, to increase what is being shared according to derivation, and then to allow the states to then pay VAT on the consumption point, not on the head office point. That's what they are saying, sir. So let me get Mr. Man to Mr. Man, thanks for holding. Cyrus, appreciate you. Mr. Man, you've got the floor. Mr. Man going once, Mr. Man going twice. Let's get Dr. B. Dr. B.
How I have a question?
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. Okay, a quick one. So I try to play this VAT stuff in my head. For example, for a car that I imported from Tinkan for instance, I pay the VAT in Tinkan. Now, I am a car dealer. I have my customer, say, in Port Harcourt. After I pay the VAT in Tinkan, I moved the car to PH at my customer. A buyer comes to my customer. I buy the car. I write an invoice for the buyer, which will include the VAT, and the guy goes away with the car, registers it. Now, am I supposed to remember once any invoice I write in my office is actually means that I have something to report to the FIRs, right? So at what point will I net off the VAT I paid at the port with the VAT that I added to the total, the amount I want to sell the car for, plus the VAT, which is my invoice? Because the authorities come to my office, they will see my invoice and they see that I sold this car and have collected VAT on it. So how will wouldn't it be that at what point will that net off happen?
I mean, that's a tax question per se. So it's just your in and out. When you file your VAT returns, you file VAT in, VAT out. It's just basically just simple. If your accountant can do that, that's a tax question per se, Oxley. When you bring it in, you pay VAT, you record it. When you take it out, you collect VAT, you record it. The net is what they're interested in. So yeah, so don't worry too much about that. The structure is really what they're after. Once that structure is agreed, the tax guys will fix all that for you. Right? Okay, let's get Scorpion. Scorpion. Okay. Yeah, don't worry too much. Also, I don't want us to get into the weeds of doing tax, because tax is very, very it's a specialized, we can't talk about tax, we can't give tax advice online, all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that they want to make it simplified. So the way tax works is value added. What value are you adding? That's what you're paying the tax on. Value added tax. If you buy it for 10 naira, sell it for 10 naira. Have you added have you added any value? No. So you don't pay tax. But if you buy it for 10, you sell it for 20, you've added value of 10. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. Scorpion, you've got the Scorpion. Let's go Scorpion. Ikoyi Realtors, please stand by. Scorpion. Hanzo, he's not speaking. Ikoyi Realtors, can you speak to us, sir? Come on, guys. Sibian Ben. Let me take the guys that are not speaking off the. Sibian, are you ready to speak, sir? Please go ahead. Hey, guy, why is your request without being on your line to speak? You're blocking. I'm going to take guys off so I can create space. Mr. Man is off. Dr. B is going off, taking you guys off. You're not going to speak. Let's get Odyssey. Odyssey, you've got the floor. Olunde, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Odyssey, you've got the floor. He's off. Let's get Okai Pele. Did I get that right? Okai Pele.
Okay, I can hear you.
How are you doing, sir? Go ahead.
Okay, my real name is Fred Mabiaku.
How are you doing,
I'm
sir?
based in Delta State with the tax and accounting consulting firm in Warri
Nice.
City.
You are the guy we want to see. You are the guy that we want to get. Okay.
Okay, I've been following the program and I'm enjoying it. And I noted some point I also want to speak on, especially a thing I think I have observed here in Delta State, tracking of database of businesses in Delta State. I think it will also help in this new tax policy. Before now, there was a policy I think from the CBN or from CAC together with the CBN, saying that those who are operating POS machines should be registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, so that they should be registered in business name before they will be allowed to operate their POS machine. And at the earlier stage of this program, somebody spoke of taking this VAT issue to the local council, to the local government. And I did that because in a state like Delta State, I think we have shortage of information of those who are actually doing business in the state, especially small and medium scale business or micro businesses. Most Nigerian states do not have a complete database of these organizations, of these business organizations, and they are the lifeline of businesses all over the country. This is an area that the Nigerian government as well as policymakers should concentrate on. The capturing of data of those who are actually doing business all over the country is of paramount importance. Because what I notice is that people are complaining. Business is low in Nigeria. Business is low. And we don't really have the sufficient data to prove that business is low. And it will go a long way to affect the budgetary system of the federal government to be able to budget for the whole country, because we know how this budgeting works and how the federal allocation goes back to the states. If we don't have accurate data, I think the federal government too is misguided in resource allocation back to the states. So when we follow what happened during that time that they say that POS should be registered with the government, I now thought of it that the same thing can still happen if we ask the local government to give us a database of the various businesses that are operating in the markets, because they can get those information. Then, with enlightenment, these small-scale businesses can be encouraged to register with CAC and submit such registration of their businesses with the same local council. Now, when these businesses are eventually registered with the CAC, the state governments can capture those registered businesses, especially if they're registered as just business name prices. the state government can get a complete database from the CAC office and can use that to monitor these VAT collections.
So the question I'm asking is, why can't the state just register the companies themselves? Why must the companies or the enterprises, the micro, the nano, why do they have to register by the federal government? Why not the state or local?
Okay, I think that should also be a kind of policy reform. But for a nation, Nigeria is a nation. It's a federal nation.
It's a federal republic.
If operating in Nigeria, if businesses are operating in Nigeria, they should be registered with the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with the Nigerian government.
That's wrong. That's wrong. A federal government would mean that Lagos State will register companies operating in Lagos. Why do Nigerian companies go to Delaware? The Nigerian IT boys are written in Delaware, not in the United States. They are Delaware State. They actually have the names, Delaware State Trust and all that. So the federal government should allow federal states register companies. And it was why should a nano go and register with Abuja? Doesn't make any sense.
Surprisingly, that's what they did. They forced all nano POS operators to do that.
So it doesn't make any sense. That's which is why we're having this space and all that. Because the whole idea of a federal government means federating units. So if you have federating units, how can a POS guy in Delta State go and register in Abuja when there's a local government, there's a state government in that state? Doesn't make any sense. So this whole VAT thing, I hope it is stage one. Stage two has to be to dismantle the whole federal fiscal system whereby states do not register companies. It doesn't make any sense. Again, going back to our example, it is not crude oil that killed all this agriculture. It is when the government, the military government, took the power to register states, to pay taxes away from the states and took to the federal government. That's why nobody cares. Why would a governor waste his time to attract business to his state when he can wait for Lagos to attract business and then share Lagos money? Why would I waste my time to attract investors? Why?
Okay, so I think this question you just raised is something that needs to be looked into, especially if possible. We should make a suggestion to the federal government, to the policymakers, that they should allow a division of the CAC to be resident with all the 36 states of the federation to carry out this activity of registration and have their own databases.
I hear you. I hear you completely. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying the structure of Nigeria itself is wrong. It's the same way where we have land use act, it's the same way we have FARC. All these things are wrong. That's why the nation cannot grow forward. We have 36 states, but we've tied them up. We've locked them up. They're not allowed to generate business. Stock exchange is federal. Registering companies is federal. Tax is federal. Federal has no land. There's nobody today that is a federal citizen. We are all citizens of Nigeria because we are from a state of origin. There is no Nigerian, I'm from Nigeria state. There's an FCT, true, but there's no Nigerian state. There's a federal government and states are part of that federal government. So to say railway, everything has to be federal government, that's why the country is moving forward. We've got to devolve that power. The power to register business has got to be at the local level. So there's an incentive. Yeah, if you devolve those powers and then you then tax, then you have local governments that are now can fund primary schools. In the constitution, primary schools are the responsibility of the local, not even the state, local government. But today the federal government has left defense to come and fund primary schools. And because of that, they justify taking more revenues because they are paying primary school teachers and all that kind of stuff. Everybody should face his lane. Let the government face immigration, defense, commerce. Let the local governments go back to education, local roads, abattoirs. Let the states also face interstate commerce. Then things start to happen. That's just my view. But I appreciate you just hopping in here to give us that. If you want to hang on, in case you have a tax question, sir, I'll really appreciate that. Thank you. One for Igbo. The only underscore real Sam. You got the floor. Go ahead. Mr. 1-4. You guys request a speaker not there. Sinistral.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, can you hear me, Mr. Rano?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So you are talking about fiscal federalism, right?
Fiscal federalism,
that health has 3% and what other things you have said, education. So I think you don't understand the basis of fiscal federalism. And I think the population and other factors that are used, like equality of state, are just formulas. You understand? Maybe equality has 40%, population has 30%, and this fiscal federalism is applicable in most countries globally. For example, in the US, a state like California has more allocation of maybe house arrest numbers than other states because of the population. So the population is used as a criteria in every state, like in every country. So I don't know why you are always blaming population and equality as the reason why Nigeria is not developing. Rather, the reason why Nigeria is not developing is the commitment of the political leaders. You understand? And you are also saying there is no state exchange stock market. Lagos has stock exchange. Abuja has stock exchange. But they are not functional like the federal stock exchange. You understand? So as the country is growing and our years up, like governance is increasing, there will be more development. So I don't know why you are seeing the health. I'm trying to remember what you said about health. That's what
health.
Yes, you are saying 3%.
Yeah, health. According to the horizontal allocation formula. Let me just address what you said. California does not get money from the federal government in America due to equality or IGR or landmass. They get it through population. I said that earlier, that population is fair. If you have more people, the state can support you. But equality is...
Why in Nigeria you are making different arguments?
No, but I'm making the same argument. I'm not cascaded population. I cascaded equality. Equality is 40%. Population is 30%.
The states are equal.
Why should the states be equal? Why?
Yeah, because they are using the equality, like it's 40% right in Nigeria, right?
Yes.
So the remaining 60% is determined by other factors.
Why?
You know, there's gradation. Do you know there is gradation in that formula?
It's 10%.
It's 10%. Okay? So the more you generated revenue, the more you are going to get.
10%.
Right?
So why should equality get more than derivation?
Okay, so maybe to be clear with you, I think you need to read more about fiscal federalism, because the reason why the country has adopted fiscal federalism is because you cannot say, for example, now let's use Southwest as an example, right? If Southwest is more developed than other regions, then there is tendency for people from other regions to move all to Southwest because there is economic activity.
Okay, but Nigeria was formed in 1962.
Let me speak, please.
In 1962, the north of Nigeria was generating the revenues higher than the southwest and the southeast. As of 1962, the north of Nigeria generated more forex revenues than the southeast and the south, and the north retained those revenues up to 1970.
No, they didn't retain revenues. The revenues were used to develop the country.
No, sir. 1962, Nigeria was not a federal republic. Nigeria was not a federal republic by 1960.
Okay, so what were we?
Well, you should read up on that, sir. When did Nigeria become a federal republic?
We are doing parliamentary system, but it was federal.
It was not federal, sir. I don't want us to
It's a
argue.
republic.
Sir, we
You
can.
say 1962 Nigeria was a republic. That's correct. But 1962 Nigeria was practicing federalism.
No, sir.
Because we have representatives. Let me explain this. We have representatives from all over Nigeria, right? And they meet in Lagos. I think Lagos was the capital then, to discuss about the federation. That's what the parliament is, to discuss about the federation, not discuss about Lagos or Kano. They were discussing about how to govern the federation. So it was a federal
No, sir.
republic.
No, sir. No, sir.
Federal government.
I beg to differ, sir. There's nothing like federal government.
And also, let me explain this. If you look at what is happening about the revenue, the tax bills, nobody is saying that people that generate more should not get more. I think what people are saying, if you are using the headquarters to be that's the determining factor of paying the VAT, then that is wrong. But if Lagos State is giving 30% because of the revenue they generate, that's fair. I think that's okay.
No, let's take it step by step. The horizontal allocation formula says that revenues in Nigeria are shared by equality, 40%. And
Yes.
IGR is 10%. I'm saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
There is what is equality. Tell me what is equality.
Equality means every state should at least has 40% of that revenue.
Why?
Every state.
Why?
Because every state has responsibilities to cater for. I've given this example, maybe you don't understand. Like example now in the US, right? So maybe California, I think their economy is the largest, right? So if California economy is doing very well and Delaware, the neighboring state is not okay, it's not neighboring state.
Yeah, but you're not saying equality, sir. California does not get anything based on equality. No US state or German state gets anything based on equality. Population, maybe, but not equality. What is equality? Who created equality in Nigeria? It's nothing show up anywhere. I challenge you, show me any federal republic that has equality. Equality is nonsense. It's what they're doing now called woke in America. Equality, equity. But you are giving equality to people that are already ahead. The North, as at 1962 CBN report, was generating more revenues, forex, than the south of Nigeria. So why are you doing equality to people that are generating more?
Maybe I don't know. It's like the emphasis on equality is just for
Because it's 40%. That's why I'm emphasizing on it. It's 40.
Okay, so how about why are you not concentrating on the 60%?
The 60% is population, 30%. Then IGR, 10%. Then land mass, 10%. Then education, health, and water are 10%. So if I do water in my state, 3%. If I do health, 3%.
No. That's not what it means.
That's what it means, sir. That's what it means. It's right here, sir. Horizontal allocation formula. Education, 4%.
For the health is across board.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But it's you get 3.
It doesn't mean the 3% must be education.
Sir.
But I think let's share this revenue and give 3% for education purposes. But
Okay.
it doesn't mean the state
Okay,
beyond 3%.
I agree with you. So you are giving water 3% and equality 40%.
But yeah, okay. So let's go back to the equality, right? The equality 40%, you can use it. You can use the 40% to develop your educational system. Nobody's stopping you.
But no. Hold on. If you could use it. Hold on. Hold on. Why can't I use land mass and do the same thing?
The land belongs to state. Okay, you need land mass.
Sir, you can't say equality 40% and use equality and then you now come and say education 4%. It doesn't make any sense now. Look at it. It doesn't make any sense, sir.
But the land mass makes sense to you?
The land mass makes no sense. Lagos State generate has
Okay, let me explain why it should make sense to you. Let me explain. For example, now you have a police force of maybe 5,000 in Borno State. All right? So the Borno State has land mass twice or triple that of Lagos. So do you expect the 5,000 policemen to police Borno State? And also, do you expect 5,000 policemen to police Lagos State in the same, equal basis? No. Because of their land mass, they should have more police.
Borno has 75,000 square meters. Lagos has 3,000 square meters. Are there population in every square meter of Borno?
No, let's say you cannot.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm not talking about population.
Let me explain.
Slow down. Sister, slow down. You've talked. I'll let you speak. Let me speak. Borno has 754,541 landmass square kilometers. Yes. Is there civilization, human beings, on every square foot of that 75,541?
There's no every human being.
Okay.
Every square.
I dare you to go to Lagos and throw a stone, and it will not hit a human being. I dare you. You can't.
Mr. Kalu, let me explain.
So we have to move on. So I thank you for it. I'm not going to take you on. Stay here. But the point I'm making.
Okay, let me make last comment before you take me out. Right? I think you should go and read more about fiscal federalism and also study other climes how their fiscal federalism is. There is no one, like you say, this is the only fiscal federalism. Every country look at its diversity and how the structure of the country and determines the way it should be. You understand?
I totally agree. But I'm telling you what, I totally agree with you. But I'm telling you that there is no jurisdiction on earth that has 40% called equality, and then water 3%, health 3%, and education 4%. It shows the level we place the Nigerian citizens. What a state exists to do is to defend and to educate. You are educating with 4%, then you give land mass 10%, then you give equality 4%. Then why not say it? Then why not say it like that? Why not say it?
It doesn't have to be said.
Oh my God. So let's call a spade a spade. I like to speak plainly. The military were from the north. The northerners passed this revenue allocation formula to ensure that whatever happens in Nigeria, let me speak. I let you speak. Let me land now. Now you're interrupting me. Now you're interrupting me. What committee? Who was the president when this was implemented? Who was president in 1970? Murtala Mohammed.
The membership of the committee were
What committee, Oga? So a military man wanted to do committee, you tell him no. Murtala Mohammed or Obasanjo Gowon. They took crude oil from the regions and made a federal issue. They created FARC. They created this formula. And this formula says that whatever you do in Nigeria, if you are a state like Cross River that did Tinapa, you would not be rewarded for Tinapa. Tinapa would only give Cross River 10%. What will give Cross River? Let me speak. What will give Cross River allocation from the government is having population and having equality, not IGR. I don't know what you are debating. You say you can use. If you can use, why did they put it? Why didn't they just say, okay, share the whole 100% equally? Why didn't they just say, take 100%, share to all 36 states equally? Why did they specify equality 40%? Why did they say 100%? Okay, share it, 100 divided by 36, all states take and go and develop. Why did they make it equality 40%? Let's move on. Abdullah Dahiru Rabiu. How are you doing, sir? Abdullah, can you hear me? You're not speaking. Let me go to Sahid. Sahid.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Yes, okay. I want to start by actually agree with you about the rebates. There are some business activities that are going on underground. If you go to Balogun Market, the kind of volume of
transaction that is going on there. The same thing in Oduwoye, in Mushi, the kind of transaction going on provisions. If you go to my 12, the kind volumes of transaction. So all these are not properly captured in Nigeria GDP. So I agree with you that there are some informers that are very big that are not properly captured. So if Nigeria rebates, at least the GDP will still be more than what we have currently. So going to the tax reform, I think the tax reform is a good one, and we just have to support it and make sure that it happens, because that is what can actually put our country on the area of growth and productivity.
What part do you support? Support the raising the VAT from the current 10, the IGR from 10 to say 20. That part you like?
I support raising of VAT for luxury goods.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying the law that is saying that we have to raise derivation. The derivation formula is going to go up from its current 10%. It's going to double. That's what they're proposing.
Yes.
Okay, you support that.
Of that.
Okay, you also support that VAT should be paid where it is consumed or where the contract is written. You support that as well?
Yes, so that it will make our governor to be business friendly. As it is now, our governors are not business friendly. They'll just go to any business, close it down, and send the people away anyhow. Close market anyhow. So that will make them business friendly. They will be able to provide where people will be able to trade, do their business peacefully without. I support, even if it can be 20%, I would love it. So that they know that they need to make their state business conducive. Correct. They won't be the talk that will be the disturbing people.
Correct, I agree. And that again, that you spoke my mind, because one state understand that if your state is peaceful and calm, then the local government can build better schools. It will take time to sink in, but once that happens, you then see a lot of folks saying we cannot have, crime and third-party actors because it is driving away commerce. Dangote said he wanted to do his refinery. Many states drove him away because they were asking for this or asking for that. Now, if you have the situation, nobody will drive Dangote because they understand that the tax revenues from Dangote refinery will stay in the local and state government more than going to federal. So that's why I support this thing that Tinubu wants to do. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, let's get Abdul. Abdul, I called you earlier. Are you ready to speak, sir?
Yeah, I'm very much ready.
Excellent. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and good evening to everyone listening.
Good evening, sir.
I really want to say that I'm a very optimistic individual, and I'm really hoping to see the best out of this government in the coming years. And with regards to the current proposed VAT issue, I may not really understand what is at stake, but I feel with the kind of response I see from the northern governors with the Emirate and what have you, I really feel it is something that is pertaining their pocket, and I'm really hoping it results to something that will really make them step up their game. Because I feel over here in the north, the governors are just enjoying money. I don't know how to put it this way. Like, there's no any productivity coming out of this region. Kaduna, for example, a lot of industries are dead and nobody is willing to revive any, talk less of bringing new investment, apart from the most recent investment that was brought by the former governor, the Olam's farm. That kind of project is a very wonderful one if such can be placed
And the steel factory. Don't forget the steel factory again. The steel
exactly. The recent power outage in the north really translates to so much that will tell you how in quote dead is the north. And I feel, and I really would want, I may not really understand the total or the entirety of the proposed VAT, what have you, but the kind of response I see from the northern governors, you understand, them coming to Kaduna, having all those meetings, I really feel it has to do with their pocket. I really feel so. I really want this the federal government to really deal with them in such a way that they will step up and think of how to generate some funds locally and use it locally.
Let me see if I can give just a synopsis. So what is going on is that, like you said, right? The long and short of Tinubu's tax reform is to say we're going to increase taxes. We're going to increase VAT for now, just VAT. Okay. Now, when he increases that VAT, he's saying, I will give more money to the state. So the revenue allocation formula today is 52 to federal, 26 to state, 20 to local. He says he will give states more and local governments more. But in return, he wants the states to allow derivation to increase from the current 10%. What is wrong with this proposal? This is a wonderful proposal. But the problem that they are seeing is that if you're a governor today, what it means is that instantly your revenue is going to fall for you, because before you get yourself together, the revenue will fall. But in future, you are setting yourself up to get more revenues. We've given many examples here. Yobe exports all the cattle. Yobe, Zamfara, Jibia export all the cattle eaten in the south. Tomatoes, cucumber, onions. Why don't you put a VAT on this? And the same way the south will also VAT goods to you. You VAT goods going to the south and you get more revenues. But they are focused on the short term. That's what's going on.
Yes, it's an eye-opener, you understand? It's an eye-opener to greater opportunities for each state to actually exploit even more than they are actually doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that, and that's why it's going to, you have to hold on. It's going to be a give and take, right? So in the end, I think they will agree to some, and there will be a give and take between the president and the governors. But it's the politicians that are against this, not the people. They should not allow this to pass them by, because if you governors say they don't like it, that's my point. It's going to benefit not just the north, the south, and the west. The federal government is too large, and it wastes too much money. If you give more money to the states and local government, at least you can touch those ones. You can't go to Abuja and touch anybody. When I mean touch, I mean you can feel their impact. That's the point I'm making.
Thank you, because these ones are very much close to the masses.
Yeah. So let's.
No problem. Next speaker, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Blind. Thanks for opening. DBC, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
I want to explain why we've not seen the effect of the innovation
corruption. Now what? Corruption. Bayelsa State should be Florida today. Bayelsa should be Florida. They have no excuse. They have the lowest population and the most revenues. But Bayelsa State is owing more money than even Lagos or whatever per capita. Bayelsa is the number one culprit on why nobody talks about derivation and revenue share, because that state is a total failure.
Why I point out that is that if we cannot even get our ass filled with oil, my fear is, don't you think that the system is not suitable for what they are saying?
What I will say is it's better to have a good law and bad implementation than a bad law and bad implementation. Bayelsa is Bayelsa. They might get lucky tomorrow and get an Obama. A child of Bayelsa could have gone to Canada and come back to Nigeria and use that law that is good in Bayelsa and fix Bayelsa. But if you have a bad law, if you say all this 10% fault equality should remain, then if you bring Obama to Nigeria, he can't do anything. What will Obama do in Nigeria when he doesn't own land, he only has 10% to work with? What would he do? Tinubu brought Aaron to Lagos. What happened? Aaron had to go. He had to go. So that's my point of view.
Thank you so much, Kalu. I enjoy this place I'm coming in now. First of all, I think you should give me credit for bringing up this topic because I told you 3 weeks ago to discuss this topic, but you push it aside and said I should go and open my own space or something.
No, the law has been out, so now I can talk about it. I've talked about certain laws. They will come and say they didn't pass it. They will say, oh, it's fake. We didn't pass that law. So I wanted them to bring this law out first. So when I discussed it, no one come and tell me it was a fake thing. But that's just weird.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Anyway, so we need to begin to educate our people. I understand where these fears, but no, we have to move forward. We cannot sit back and just keep sharing money among our, with inequality, or equity or something, inequity or something. I don't know if that's correct. We need to move forward. Yes, because guess what? Do you know the wonder that is going on in Akwa Ibom? Akwa Ibom has an airline. Akwa Ibom is in the class of Bayelsa that we just talked about. Akwa Ibom has an airline. Akwa Ibom has one of the, the tallest building in the whole of South. Akwa Ibom is showing strength, gradually. Yeah, they might not be 100% efficient with their resources, but they are way ahead in terms of the way they put their infrastructure in place than other Niger Delta, that's the 13th derivation earning states. So they are way ahead. They are showing us how they can use their resources to attract more investment. They are doing what is very, very close to what Dubai did. What did Dubai do? They use their oil wealth to build the city and turn it to its tourist attraction. For me, anytime I'm going to, maybe if I come to Nigeria, I would love to visit Akwa Ibom. I would love to see Akwa Ibom and all of that. So that's that one. Then on the other side, speaking to the north, I'm not sure maybe you guys have talked about the way Kaduna State was able to jack up the IGR. I'm not even going to be comparing Kano and Lagos in terms. Yeah, we know in terms of population they are almost at par, but in terms of commerce, I think the IGR of Kano should have been higher than Kaduna. It's really, really unfair that I don't know what is going on in Kaduna, why the IGR of Kaduna is lower than, of Kano is lower than Kaduna. When El-Rufai was there, people were saying, okay, why are we supporting El-Rufai? El-Rufai was able to attract over $4 billion in terms of investment into his state, with all the insecurity and all of the things that is happening in Kaduna State. You as a governor, your job is not to sit down and be sharing FAC, fact allocation every month in, month out. Your job is to be a salesman. Go out and look for investors.
That's all.
That's your job. Go out and look for investors, no matter what. Bring them, give them confidence. Tell them that you even give them insurance. I don't know how that idea just came to me. That okay, why is the government responsibility? We'll provide an insurance to cover for you, that such that if anything happens to your investment, maybe we can guarantee that you get 50% back in terms of anything that maybe insecurity or anything. So give them that confidence that okay, we'll pay for the insurance premium. I don't know what they call it, pay for all of that just to give them confidence, come and put investment in your state. But you rather, many of them will just sit back and wait for the 30th of the month, share allocation, and everybody goes to go and buy dollar with the naira that comes in that, and naira will come under pressure. Instead of you to get investors to come and put investment in your state, how did everybody do it? That's that one. Ogun State also shows us that there's the way you can also jack up revenue, putting up the necessary infrastructure, attracting investors, and all of those things. And then the people will come and invest. And then eventually, the governor himself said it, that the way they are going, that very soon will not really need FAC. That's a good thing. I'm not going to Lagos or Rivers State. I'm talking of states that we think they don't have resources and all of those things. You know, so
I think sorry to cut you in. I think Ogun State is just
You have to hold on, Lotche. You have to hold on, please.
The advantage around Lagos. If you look at the state, particularly since Awolowo left the scene, the state has depreciated seriously. In fact, I took special interest in Ogun for many reasons. Because if you look at states like New Jersey, if you look at, I've forgotten the state close to California, they take advantage of this systemic state.
That's true.
So, the rates are horrible. In fact, there was a joke that a poultry farmer cannot take his eggs across Ogun State without having bad eggs, you know. So, if Ogun State is just enjoying that federal...
They're not taking advantage, I see. They're not taking advantage of that nearness. Like the tri-states, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and they're not taking advantage of it.
And if you look at fiscal capacity, I looked at Budget IT's report. Rivers was the most fiscal responsible state.
Rivers?
Yes. Forget Wike's ingenuity. And one of the reasons why you have to give it to Rivers is because of the way they manage their resources. The way they I was surprised.
You know, I've been studying states accounts. The best I have seen is Kaduna State. The way it's structured, the way the information is there. River States,
This one is the aftermath of.
Okay.
This is the most recent one.
All right. I'll take it one.
So let me round up, please. Let me just round up. So I believe the governors should see themselves as salesmen, not people, somebody to just sit back and be waiting for allocation, share, and everybody goes their way. No.
Well said.
Go out and look for investors. That's your job. When you are coming, somebody needs to tell them, go out there and look for investors. There will be people you can guarantee they will come and put part of their investment. You just tell them, okay, we agree, put some in Lagos, but put small here too, or in our own side too. And then they will do all of that for you. You know, so for you to just sit back and just wait for allocation year in, year out, 8 years is gone, nothing achieved. And that is it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And this law will allow them to do that because it will force them to go and create commerce by attracting industry. So this would force them to do that. So good luck.
I can't wait to see that happening.
Yeah, you also know that. You also know that Kano had been a trading route even before colonial era. So
Before Nigeria.
I don't want to understand how you will now tell me that Kano cannot generate money now. That's the question we are really asking.
You know why can we not generate?
This guy. You have to hold. Just hold. It's an open. Just hold on, sir. It will flow to you naturally. It will flow. Just hold on.
But to be honest with you, you know, I like the fact that I'm optimistic about this. That my concern is that yes, the president is trying to grow fiscal federalism, but you need a form of, I don't want to use eye on hand, you need a hand that shows some form of accountability across the field. It's something that is really lacking in this administration. Let's be honest, Carlo.
That coordinating minister, midfielder role, they don't have. They don't have a midfielder in admin that can take balls from the field to policy and policy to the field. He's missing that.
I know. I'm just going to drop the mic now because you see, with all the beautiful reforms, if the pipeline is not solid, we're not going to get the result. The problem we have is our institutions are not strong, and like I've said, we don't have business having 50 ministers because fiscal responsibility also comes with management. America has 50 states. They don't have 54 ministers, for heaven's sake. Okay. The table they sit in the White House can take all their cabinet. Have you seen our Federal Executive Council? It looks like the state joint meeting, and this country is very poor. So, if you are promoting fiscal federalism and you are having a political system that looks very expensive, you are having liabilities at the end of the day. So what are you solving? So I understand why we must ensure state independency, state generality, but we should not also address that our constitution, our economic systems are not viable.
Gotcha. I totally agree. Okay, Oluchukwu, what's on your mind? Ask your question, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. God bless you. Please, one simple question I want to ask that. Southeast and the South concluded to the restructuring, and they pass it to the government law. You understand? And they also concluded the state police also. So North, where the problem is now is from North. All this things that pass into so that make Nigeria be at least all this education they are collecting in Abuja, this thing at least it will stop. So that everybody focus in all resources. So why not afraid of accept that resource?
I think the northern politicians are afraid that it will reduce their income in the short term. And yeah, that's a valid fear for them. But I think they are looking at the fear and not the opportunity. Because their income would go down immediately, but it opens up opportunities for them to get more revenue. They are not looking at the opportunities, they're looking at the fear.
And they're the one that and they're the one that having the highest allocation in Nigeria.
Not
they're
really.
The one that producing what is it?
The revenues, the allocation really goes to the oil, Aqua Ibom, Delta, all those guys have the highest allocation here.
No, I mean, the allocation are not going to. Okay. Look at what's happened in River State. The River State governor.
I want to. So what? Just
about their own allocation. The River State they don't have a allocation. East also they don't have an allocation, but they carry the whole allocation to North. Instead of even though it's all North now, they're talking about allocation.
So let's just
on that.
Just
they don't have anything to do. They're afraid of the restructuring and they will make. Let me tell you something. It's not causing this problem in this Nigeria.
Okay, let's get Spartan. What's on your mind, Spartan? Spartan, go ahead. Your hand is up, so go ahead and speak, Spartan.
Okay, thank you very much for this platform because I've been always looking forward to something like this, and I want to unapologetically state that this is the best thing that can happen to Nigeria. We have many countries in the world that have evolved federalism. We can take a sample of examples from the United States down to to Singapore, and you get the same template. The template is simply that let people that are productive see the benefits of their production.
That's all.
It's as simple as that. We shouldn't have Big Daddy sharing handouts every month, and then some people just sit down, live like this. They don't even make use of their brains anymore, because at the end of the day, they just have money shared and just share to their stalwarts and their cohorts doing nothing. That is the epitome of unproductivity, and that has been the champion of Nigeria. We are so unproductive. I mean, look at all the landmass in the north, and they are not being well developed because of things like this. If we are taking, if this is fully implemented, although it's going to start at a very gradual scale, but the benefits in future times will be very massive, because it's either you fall along or you don't.
Well, I mean that's general consensus, and let me just also come back. I understand the fear of the folks that are not committed or are looking at this as a policy that will affect them. I think those fears are also real. the revenues that are going to flow as normal will change. It will change. If you are getting 100 naira before, revenues will come down. But look at the opportunity they are giving you. Look at the opportunity you're going to get.
Exactly.
Many did not believe that without crude oil, they cannot survive. I've said it and I repeat it over and over, and I've posted the receipts. These are the receipts from even this 1962. So it was even before Nigeria was even, you can say, Nigeriaized. This was the first report, I believe, done by not even the Central Bank of Nigeria. There was no CBN there.
Hello, Kalu. Hello, sorry to interject, but let me just give a brief reason why that excuse is as a result of plain laziness. I studied geology in school, and one of the key areas we studied was the geology of Nigeria, and we mostly talked about the Benue Trough. Now, the Benue Trough is largely composed of mostly northern Nigeria. Carlo, I don't want to list the amount of mineral resources that is found in northern Nigeria. If I start listing it, we would have the whole of this day. It will be enough. I mean, from basalt to tin, name it. They are all in abundance there. Name it. So only what you have is just what they just need is just to willing investors, bring them along the legal lines. Let it be plain. Let them set up companies legally in these regions and start extracting legally. Then you can start, having people employed in the different extraction sites, and then the companies are paying VAT. It's as simple as that. But you just need this resources there, and they are being mined illegally by hoodlums, by thieves that come into this country and loot it, by the backyard and go away. They're not being tracked because of this form of laziness. If this laziness is encouraged, we will still have the same results. So people have to be pushed. When they are pushed, the best of them will come out. So I encourage this 100%. I mean, if it is the best, if it is the only thing the Tinubu administration will do, let them do it. Guys, sit down and look at it. It is the best for this country.
All right, Spartan.
Thank you very much.
Gotcha. George, what's on your mind, George? George, we've come a long way. Well, we're talking fiscal federalism, the 4 tax bills passed by the president. We've talked about pros and cons. We've gone to derivation. What's your take on this? Are you support? Do you have something to add to this? Let me hear you out, George. Go ahead, George.
Okay. Thank you very much. Not much to say, but I like the wake-up call. That's how I see it. It's a wake-up call to all federating units to start looking inwards. I don't know if I should call it federating units, but the governor needs to wake up. It will get to a point where it's not just anybody that will become governor. It won't be that attractive anymore because the money will not be guaranteed. And so when you work, there's something we used to say in school those days: no contribution, no consumption. That's where I'll stop at it. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, Ramsey, what's your take on this, man, Ramsey?
Okay, so I agree, sir. Is it full fiscal federalism? Are the state going to be responsible for licensing businesses? Are the state going to be responsible for, then we are not there yet. If the state is not responsible for licensing businesses, then we are not practicing fiscal federalism. We need state to be in charge of licensing businesses. The state should be in charge of their security policing. The state should be in charge of managing their resources. Full resource control. Else, we are just doing something. We are doing a patchwork. So, but if it succeeds and the state are not in charge of licensing, because let's put it, someone just said that in a state like Zamfara, they have gold. That gold is not being. They don't put in like a block of oil for bidding for multinationals to bid for. They change the rule in that one so that Zamfara people can mine and collect security and mine that gold, put the money in their pocket. It doesn't reflect in the FX. Why oil in the Niger Delta is feeding them as much as they are feeding their pocket from their gold. And that's not the system we want to practice. Let's practice full fiscal federalism with full resource control, policing, so that Samfara will now license their mining Akwa Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta, and Imo will now be in charge of licensing their exploration and drilling in their state and control the resources. Otherwise, it's a patchwork. No one's going to move this. This is the only chance to move. Let's move it full. Thank you, sir.
Look at it this way, right? The PIB, the Petroleum Industry Bill, was a bill of immense importance. We put everything into one bill. Everything, the legislation of oil leases, the derivation, host communities in one bill. And because that one bill was not passed, nothing happened in Nigeria from when the bill was proposed by the real one, Lukman, to when it was eventually passed by Mohammed Buhari. The past Minister of Petroleum said almost 10 billion or so. Is it 60 billion left Nigeria because we didn't pass a PIB? I think the lesson is that even if you want to do something big and good, do it in small chunks. Because if they shoot down one bill, you have to go back and represent it. You have to be very, very careful. There's a tactics against something good. You know, when Jesus came, Jesus did not appear in Jerusalem. Jesus appeared in his small village in Nazareth and walked his way to Jerusalem. Before he got Jerusalem, he was doing miracles, he got disciples, he did this. So that when he got to Jerusalem, he already had the backing that he could tell them, tear down this wall in 3 days and all that. So the point I'm making is, these are even 4 bills. It's so large that it has to split into 4 bills. Imagine you put these 4 bills into one bill. Who read it? Number 2, if this bill goes and one is rejected, then all are rejected. Now we've broken it down into bills to say, okay, let's even do this. If you pass one, we're moving the ball forward down that field. I think that's the way they are going. All this other stuff we're talking about licensing, it will happen when the structure is changed. You know, the structure has got to change so that you can then have real fiscal federalism. You can't have a fiscal federalism where the federal government is collecting taxes in states. Doesn't make any sense. On equality. I asked the guy, what is equality? Explain to me what equality means. You can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. It's put there to say whatever you do, I will get 40%. That's why it's put there. If I create a state, we are creating states and local government areas for their wives and girlfriends. I'm not making this a big statement. I'm telling you the honest fact. These were created by the military. No civilian government has created states. All created by the military. From 6 to 12 to 19 to 23, 26, all by the military. On what basis? Why is a state supposed to be a state? What is the economic potential in that state? So you have many states that are just centers to take money to my local government. If I'm from Ohio local government area, I create Ohio state. So that my state forever and ever will be rich. Then I put 40% to say, hey, whatever you guys do in this your fancy Lagos and fancy Kano, I will get 40%. That's just the way of writing a check. You tell Dangote, whatever you like, go and do. You must write me 40% check. Who does that? And that's why the country cannot move forward economically. We go, there's a big chain holding us. Land Use Act, FARC is holding us back. But you can't just go and just cut it off with one sharp arrow. No, you can't do that. You've got to be very tactical. And again, this is not going to punish anybody. This is going to enable and opportunize people. The North that we are talking now as the problem, they are going to be the ones to gain. We can import, where will you import your food from, your beef from? Look at what you eat today. The largest expense Nigerians spend today is food. Where is the food coming from? So everybody is important. Nobody is more important than the other. Everybody in Nigeria is important. Every single person, right? Sugar facts, you've got the floor. Sugar, what's your word?
I don't know. I feel like in Nigeria we spend so much time talking about IGR, generating revenue when we have trillions of dollars worth of natural gas, minerals, crude oil under us. A country as blessed as Nigeria, we should be even focusing on like more. VAT is like a pass-through tax, but I don't think we should be like focusing so much on generating taxes through our businesses when we have all of these natural resources that we can refine, use, and sell to generate income. We are more like a country like Russia, but we're trying to act as if we are some like landlocked country in Europe or something with very little resources. I understand that generating tax is extremely important, but I think it shouldn't be as important as generating revenue. And we have all we need to generate revenue in every single state in Nigeria. Every single one. It's very frustrating when I hear people talk about IGR. It is. We have rare earths.
Well, and again, let me make it worse for you. Let me make it worse for you. When people say IGR, go into the IGR and open it up. What are they talking about? Payee. They're talking about taxes on VAT or a tax on like maybe some company came to their state and they are not getting the no. It's payee, PAYE. So it does employment tax like in the US, payroll tax. That's what they're talking about. Payroll
like
tax.
tax.
Not income tax. Payroll tax. It's different. Income
Like
tax is they've generated wealth and you're now paying income on the wealth. This is payroll tax.
Oh my God!
So
like
we keep on saying I have IG. It's payroll tax, bro. So if you build a road in your state and your state does not have a large civil service, you have no IGR. But your state has more commerce. So they are all chasing Lagos. They are chasing Lagos that has a developed economy. Lagos has got a payroll tax sector going on. It's like if you go to the United States, you go to California, that is IT, and Wyoming, that is not Dakota, not Dakota that does oil and gas. Not Dakota is getting its money from oil and gas. California is getting money from hiring IT workers. Then you say IGR. Of course, California is going to have a high payee because they have a payroll. But not Dakota is getting this money from gas pumping up from the ground. They don't need people. It's gas coming up from the ground. Should you get payee and IGR? Yes. But guys, stop. It's not a fact that there's no World Bank that is tracking IGR. They track revenue. They track GDP per capita. Yes, but I think we are caught up in this revenue. It's a payroll tax. That's all it is. Payroll tax.
And I want to push back.
No, I'm not kicking you off. I'm just saying, so you can let me go ahead.
No problem.
Stay right there.
No, we totally agree with what you're saying, Kami, but our argument is that if you look at LTI, if you look at other, because you see, the thing about Nigeria's data is that we have a limited amount of data to measure our economic activity. So, just like the last speaker was talking about, gas, oil, he has forgotten that investment in that sector for many years has dwindled. In fact, if you look at our GDP, is in the energy sector is been going microscopic in its level. So it's not something we are even looking at. But what we are saying is that, yes, we agree that it might not be telling us the real economic picture, but it shows that the beating of airports, the infrastructure these days and federal government as so-called is not showing any positive indicator. Because as an analyst, what indicator do you want me to use? I will tell you GDP is horrible. I'll tell you poverty rate is horrible. Food inflation rate is horrible. Basic education is horrible. Mortality rate is horrible. Life expectancy rate is horrible. So if you say, okay, we should not look at those ones, which indicator can we use in Nigeria to say, okay, it's even showing us a glimpse of the economy?
It's very simple. If you want to look at it on an economic level, productivity, then HDI, Human Development Index, those two things are what you look at, productivity and HDI. Water, and don't go too far. Clean drinking water. Food that is cheap. Shelter. I don't hear power supply or even no. Clean drinking water. Cheap food, security, and shelter. Stop there. We don't have those. We don't even have that. We're talking about power supply is for rich people. If you don't have water and food, why the hell are you talking about power supply? So Nigeria has a very, very basic caveman problems. We haven't solved those ones yet. We can't be talking about AI. You know, I was talking to a guy yesterday. The guy told me in this country, if he would pass a law like that we should have no automation, so that there will be more people employed. I was seeing what he was saying. In America today, the ports all the way from Virginia all the way to Texas are on strike. You know what they're asking for? They are saying they don't want any automation because automation replaces forklift drivers, crane operators, everybody. In Nigeria, you might actually have to ask yourself, do we really want automation? There are so many kids that are unemployed. And that's the biggest time up in Nigeria. Look at the kids that were arrested that are being paraded around for anti-government protests. Children are being paraded that they are treason. They don't know anything. Unemployment, that's a problem. So if we do productivity gains, which means that we can do more with less, and then we can do human development indices, which means there's clean water, there's cheap food, there's shelter and security, then you can say you have arrived. Let's even start from that very basis. But Nigerians are talking about IGR. Poor people should not be talking about taxes. Have you ever heard? How?
God bless you.
Okay. Sugar, you were going to say?
It's frustrating when I hear it. I'm sorry. I've had it up to here with the IGR guys. We are one of the poorest countries on the damn planet. Why are we not investing in natural gas infrastructure? Why are we not investing more in finding more oil, more minerals? Sell it. We have trillions of dollars. Dubai, what is the tax rate? They just increased it before and it's almost zero.
Well,
so this whole concept, this whole thing, I'm sorry. We have trillions of dollars of startup capital that we can utilize to grow the country, and we're over here taxing market women.
That's a hard
Have you lost our mind?
So let me.
Jesus Christ.
Do you remember the guy that came here that was running a textile factory? I was doing t-shirts in Lagos. You remember that guy? I don't know if you remember. We brought a guy here. Okay. You know what the guy was saying? The guy was saying that he makes t-shirts and he tried to do backward integration to go and buy the textile bale. He went to the north and he couldn't get it. Remember, he was sitting here. He couldn't get it. It's not available. The north has cotton, but where's the power to do from cotton to yarn? We don't have it. So this production we're talking about, a guy is doing standard t-shirts. He can't get cotton in Nigeria. He has to import. So if you go back and you say there's cotton in Katsina, in Jigawa, why not producing their bandits there? Which goes back to this HDI of food, water, clean water, and security. If we don't solve the small issues, we really can't do anything big. Tinubu has to do this because, yes, the country can't wait till everything is set up before we can move ahead. But if we don't solve the real issues that make this country not be productive, we can't go anywhere. And what are the issues? Let me get the worst policy in the history of Nigeria since 1960s. Number one, federal character. It's not what you think. Federal character means that the government is always bloated. Like Olumide said, you must have 36 ministers. You must have 36 whatever. You must have 36 standard issue. If you want to write JAM must be in 6 locations, 6 geopolitical locations. So already bloated. Power supply must go to all the regions. If you want to spend this one here, if you want to do student loan in Niger State, you must do all across the federation. Everything will move at the same pace. So if you're not ready for development, the nation must wait for you to be ready before we move forward. Federal character number one. Second, Land Use Act. You take land, you say the land is worthless unless a governor physically signs the letter. Olumide and I can do a deal of ₦1 billion and trade shares. We can buy cars, we can buy crypto, we can buy houses, but we cannot buy land in Nigeria until a governor, a living human being, signs a piece of paper called a certificate of occupancy. So all of us in Nigeria now that want more, why do you think we have no mortgages in Nigeria? Because you can't easily create equitable mortgages. If you go to America and you want to buy or want to use your house as collateral, what do? You walk into a bank, the bank will put a lien on your home and give you cash. You can't do that easily in Nigeria because the bank has got to take a lien on your house. But to take a lien on your house, you literally have to sell the house to the bank. Then the bank will give you back the house when you pay back. Having collateral doesn't mean you own the home, as every Nigerian banker knows. So the way to fix it is to say in the Land Use Act, you can allow equitable mortgage to be created. But we haven't done that. So we have 9 trillion sitting around, land owned by Nigerians that we can't do anything with. So you have a farmer in Kogi that farms cassava. You ask him, do you have collateral? I have no collateral. But he has the land. The land produces cassava, but he has no collateral because that land is owned by Abuja. Nobody in Nigeria owns land. Though. Look at your CFO. You are a leaseholder. The land you own in Ohafia in Lagos is owned by the federal government. You are leasing land for 99 years from the federal government. So if you don't own the land, how can you create a mortgage on what you don't own? Can your tenants rent out your house or use your house for loan? That's the second part. If you don't fix these things, you can build one road here, build one hospital here, you will not fix Nigeria. Nigeria needs surgery. Not to change one arm. Full, like robot man, remove the arm, put robot arm, full rejig. What will happen?
I have a question just to look at the responsibility of states, particularly basic education and agriculture. You know, my take is that even if this comes to light, if it comes up, yes, it's going to, it's a positive thing. But looking at it economically, don't you think that we really need to really tackle, I think the elephant in the room is the political system. I don't think, like the United States, for example, if you look at the Europeans, they are very smart. They know that they politically cannot match America's wealth. So they don't copy America's type of government. I don't know why, because I've tried to understand Nigeria politically and economically, and I see that we copy things that favor certain class, not the economy particularly, because if you look at our system, it's not sustainable. America has 50 states. If you look at the way America runs their local governments, if you look at the way America runs the state and federal, it's kind of different. We copy the federalism, Senate, House, federal, the vice president. Even the vice president has a role in the US Senate. It doesn't feel like that in Nigeria. So we have so I totally agree with all your things you're saying, Carlo. But my own fear is that it doesn't look like icing the cake, because the fundamental issue is that investment in human capital, basic education, the system is not accountable. The governors are too powerful. Look at all the governors use the state of the art vehicle. From Lagos to Borno, there's no governor that does not use either a 2023 or 2025. There's even a governor that uses a 2025 BMW. But not even 2025.
Imported.
So, and we are complaining about the Naira dancing at 1,700. So, you see, the thing is that we only talk about these things when it gets to us personally. But I feel that we really need to look at the core issues: accountability, poor investment in basic education. I forgot the name of this intelligent partner in PwC that left PwC, the white man, and said that Nigeria's future is human capital. We are not investing in human capital, Carlo. Look at the amount of graduates that come out every year. And that part has become very difficult because of the devaluation. So a lot of Nigerians can't even travel. So we have an employment issue, Carlo. These are the problems I'm really worried about, because we can't solve this fiscal. But what are you going to tax? What are you going to get when you are hungry?
So I've been working since 1999. And my mates today are either CEOs or generals or EDs, things like that. There is nobody I know that I grew up with professionally that is not living abroad, his family is not abroad, or he does not have a second passport to go abroad when he retires. There is nobody I know, none, that one of these doesn't apply. When we had the Naira change last year, what failed was that the banks were supposed to support the cashless banking. So what happened? No IT folks in the banks. They've all left. So the volume came, and the bank's IT staff were not able to meet that volume. The same thing when you see these banks doing update on their IT. It takes 5 days to do IT update. Nigeria used to have all these guys that are working in Canada and the UK. They were all IT staff in Nigeria working in banks. Look at the Flutterwave guys. Look at their CVs. Where were they working? These were the guys working in your banks. And Nigerian banks are the most modern and most productive sectors in the Nigerian economy. I'm giving you just a picture of Nigeria. So your most modern and most productive sector have seen everyone leave. There's a bank in Lagos that the entire branch, Japan, from manager to accountants, the entire branch in Lagos, they left to Canada. The entire bank branch left. So when you have a country where the brightest, the best, the most educated are leaving, you should ask yourself a question and say, what should I do to reverse the trend? If you focus on educating people in Nigeria, really not this free education when you give them jack on this school, and I apologize if I'm but not that, real quality education, you start to reverse this a bit, because now you have a workforce in Nigeria that can take up these roles and can do jobs. I quote this starter all the time. Google and IFC have this report that they did where they surveyed IT staff all across Africa. And they said the largest place where you find trained, certified IT staff is in South Africa. The second largest place is in Nigeria. What was different about the Nigerian IT class was that there were 50% of them were self-taught. Half of the folks in Nigeria that do Python, that do coding, taught themselves. They went to one shop, one guy was coding, they learned with the guy, they wrote the exam, they passed. You see them now online. I work with many of them. They are in Lagos, they are getting salary in dollars from abroad, they are working in Lagos with their laptop. Many of them, they self-taught themselves. We spent 15 billion on the Dangote refinery. If we spent 1.5 billion dollars to build 6 MITs in 6 geopolitical states of Nigeria, the Nigerian GDP today would have doubled. You can argue with anybody to argue it. The only guaranteed investment you can make in a nation, the only guaranteed is not road, is education. Most of the folks you see arguing on Twitter today enjoyed the free education of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. That's why till today the southwest of Nigeria has the middle class and the wealth that it has. The eastern part of Nigeria also got this education, but they went through a civil war. When you invest in education, you change the outcomes of the people. Not this thing, you build one house and you say that's free education. Real education. Now we have AI. So you can have a lecturer that will teach kids mathematics in their local language on a screen. In every school, in every local government, it won't cost you $100 million. It won't. But the same $100 million is going to buy BMW 2025 model for $2 million. So it's the same way our revenue allocation. Health is 3%, education is 4%, water is 3%, but equality is 40%. That tells you all you need to know about Nigeria. Hey, why? You've got the floor. Hey, why? Ayobami 201. Guys, we've got about 20 minutes. I want to cut it close. Yeah. Ayobami, go ahead. What's happening, man?
Thank you very much. I like all the submissions and really an educative space. In regards the fiscal federalism and proposed VAT, I'm in support of I've not studied the whole thing, but the issue of the VAT, I'm in full support of it because we need to become productive. And I like what you made reference to regarding education being the being of growth and development of any society, which was what Awolowo did that started the growth of the Western region. But Awolowo then was practicing to a great extent federalism, unlike what we have today. Awolowo was controlling revenue. He was the one, he had to tax in fact, Awolowo introduced education tax, I think, was collecting taxes from the companies to fund education.
That was was that I think they both did. Okpara did it. Awolowo did it. Both of them did it. But Awolowo was far-reaching, broad and all that. Yeah.
So you see, both of the taxes. It boils down to how what kind of tax regime do we have? Currently, now what we do is that the federal government collects everything and shares based on population and landmass. So that means, for instance, if I live in Lagos, where there's a lot of increased vehicular movement, and I'm exposed to a lot of carbon monoxide emission, and I pay petroleum tax. My taxes go to the federal government. I now share them based on land and population. Whereas in Lagos, I'm faced with reduced health quality of life because of the gas emissions. Maybe the volume of bottled water we drink in Lagos, if it's not vatable, is so much that the pet bottles clog the gutter. What money would they use to create to clean the sewage and create those ways for us on the street? So I think that we need to think of how to be productive. And even I was in the space yesterday where you were talking about the Almajiri's issue. I said it's an economic thing. It's not a wrong in Nigeria. We're not all in Quranic school. There are other countries that are even more in depth in the Quranic education than we are. But it's an economic thing. When you have an economy where a governor sits down every month and he believes that he collects money from the federal government, and he now converts that money into forex, and it's now his personal cash, and he sees the state's employees as the only thing that he's catered for, do a few more roads, and that's all for him. He's not thinking of how we can look at local government. All these failure on systems, because the local government are just redundant, not doing anything. They have land, but they can't farm. And I agree with you. Like again, someone talked about the Land Use Act that Obasanjo initiated in 1979. That took over the land from the indigenous people. That's also an anomaly. Where you really cannot have value for the land you seem to are born into. So these are things that I think the current government is trying to see how they can unbundle. But it's going to take a lot of time because we already have to warp the mentality of everything must be free, everything must be given to us. And I said to people, how much allocation are they even giving the state governments? It's so small compared to when we're looking at other economies. It's so small. What can you do? So if we don't have a system where people cannot begin to, and if we now begin to practice federally, you realize that some things realize that I can't do it. Let me now form majors. Let me form economic matters with other states. I can't do this alone. So someone can say, okay, I have farm produce, I have this, and they can come together to improve their revenue. We need to begin to think of how to be like a normal functional system. Thank you very much.
Well said, sir. Just to emphasize your point, nothing has stopped the Southwest or the South or the Southeast from creating a regional educational hub where they buy books in bulk and get a discount. Nothing. So we have to do better. There's power in mass. And fiscal federalism has made everybody just go back to his place and wait for Abuja to share oil money. But now when there's going to be, if you combine and you create commerce, people come there, you then make money. That's really what we're targeting, right? Diverse, you've got the floor, Diverse. What's up? Diverse.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
How you doing?
I'm here, please.
Yes, audio is shaky. Are you moving around? But I can hear you.
Okay, what about now?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So I think we deliberate more on how we can improve our system, which is very, very fine. But I think we need to discuss on the how, the details more. So I think a lot of people are saying we have a lot of mineral resources, we have oil, we have other things we can tap into that we can improve our living. So apart from agriculture, which is a bit cheap, because you need capital to start building. So before we can check it out. If we want to improve our oil sector, so to 2 Mbp, at least we need up to 30 something $40 billion to explore and rig some more wells. So we need to discuss on how we are going to get that particular capital. So not just deliberating that we have the reserve and we just, it's not something we can just dig and it will be extracted. It's equal capital. So that is one. And number two is the electricity. So our capacity now is 13, we have 13 something, but we can only generate 7 or 8. Now let's say we want to even double that, what we can generate to 15. So we need up to another 15 billion. I know in the past, during Obasanjo, the politician was given some amount, and I know in Buhari also time, some amount was also given. But we need to talk about those amounts we need to develop the sector.
All right, I got you.
So that we know the one to pick.
Okay.
So that we can know the one to pick first. Are we picking the agriculture that is cheaper, which I think we need to pick? Is it the federal government that need to pick that or state government? So that will help us to know what to do first. Because we cannot do everything. We don't have the capacity to do everything.
All right.
Because of the cost.
All right.
Okay.
No, I'm not cutting you off. I'm just saying. So actually, you're saying just let's have a plan and know how to create the preference list and then go after the. All right.
The capacity, yes.
All right.
Another thing is it I want to learn it. Another thing is it investable? So now let's say I generate 500 megawatts of power and I want to sell it to the TCN. So I'm not going to get the money back because there is no liquidity enough in there whereby we have not metered, everyone is not metered in Nigeria to even know the power sector. So we to even pay the right bill so that there will be enough liquidity so that private sector that will come into the power sector to help improve it, they won't get their money back. The same applies to a lot of everything. We are also doing. I think we lack that basics that will kickstart the information.
All right.
That will kickstart our infrastructure development.
All right. Gotcha. Thanks, Tim. I hear you. Let's get Feel My Star Shine. I like that name. Feel My Star Shine. Do this slowly. Feel My Star Shine. What's on your mind? How can we feel your star shine? Go for it. They're gonna be after you. We're gonna have one for Igbo, and then I think we'll just round up the space. Feel My Star Shine. Go ahead. You got the floor. Going once. One for Igbo. What do you want to say? Go ahead. Hand is up, sir. Only Real Sam. Only Real Sam. Take us home.
Okay. Good evening. I personally do not support this tax, this new tax regime, because, like someone said here, if we want to go to fiscal federalism, let's go fully into fiscal federalism. Every state should control their resources. Now, let's take, for example, in our oil sector. Today, now we have a refinery in Lagos. How many drop of oil does Lagos have? We have a refinery in Kaduna. How many drop of oil does Kaduna have? In my secondary school economics, one of the when you are talking about selecting an industry, one of the factors is nearness to the source of the raw material. Abia State does not have a refinery. Imo State does not have a refinery. But oil are produced in those states. Now, when you move the oil from Warri or Rivers to Dangote refinery in Lagos, Dangote refines that oil, people buy it and pay this VAT to the Lagos state government. Why? Meanwhile, the oil that was refined in Lagos was gotten from Warri or Rivers. Now, most times when federal governments bring up policies in Nigeria, if you look deeply, you see that maybe they are bringing up those policies to benefit a certain section of the country.
No, but what isn't the policy to say that they want to do exactly what you are saying? That's what the policy is saying, that they want to make sure that the states that have the oil can retain the derivation of the oil. That's what the policy is saying.
No, what me I'm saying is that let there be full fiscal federalism.
But can they do that? Yeah, but they are doing it 20% now. So is your issue that they are not doing 100%? You want 100% now?
Yes.
But how is that? Come on. So again, we have to talk about strategy here. If I come to you and I say you must support, who do you support, Chelsea or Arsenal? Who do you support? Who do you support? Tell me.
I support Chelsea.
So if I come and tell you you must support Man U tomorrow, you know withdrawal, you know Jesse, just support. No, I have to break it to you slowly. Oh, you know Jose Mourinho has played for Man U. Oh, you know some of our guys are with Man U. Then we take you there 10%, we take you there 40%, then take you there 80%, then before you know it, you are there 100%. We have to go slowly. This is not, the man doesn't have the vote to just come and say, change all the laws immediately. He can't say that. No, it won't pass. PIB is your example. PIB did not pass for decades. It was Real One Lookman. Do you know who that is? He wrote that first bill, PIB. Where was it passed? Where was Real One Lookman, the Minister of Petroleum? Where was Petroleum Industry Bill passed? Because we put everything in one bill. And I assure you, even though that all this Ukraine war had come, we still not have passed that bill. So I hear you. I don't think there's anyone on this space that says we don't want fiscal federalism. I want it. But the man is saying, let's do 20% today, and let's inject into the Nigerian discourse that we should go away from equality and IGR and landmass towards derivation, which was the law as of 1970. So when you say you are against it because of the timing, are you for it because of the policy?
Come again.
You are against it because you are against the policy because it is not 100%. But do you like do you like the policy?
Why I'm also against it is because when you look at these policies, if you look deeply, you see that it is meant to maybe benefit one section of the country. You understand? Because when you are talking about VAT, now VAT has to do with population. You look at Lagos State, almost 20 million people.
VAT nothing to do with
population. Talking about VAT, there's a lot of consumption in Lagos than in other places, and it's because of Lagos State has very high population because of the structure of Nigeria. Anybody that finished school, before you get a very good job, you must move either to Lagos or Abuja. Okay, and which is very wrong.
But that's what the man is trying to change now. Not for who are you for?
You've been mentioning states in the US. If you look at all the states in the US, all of them have an economic success story. All over Europe, all the cities has. If you go to Barcelona, they will tell you the economic success story. But in Nigeria, everything is centralized in Lagos and Abuja. All the seaports in Niger Delta is not working. Why did they live in money bonds? All these things should be working so that you activate economic activities in all sections of the country. So by the time you do this VAT bill now and it goes through, you see that Lagos State will be the highest beneficiary because everybody is moving to Lagos. They want to consolidate their power. They want to consolidate the population of Lagos. And from Abia State.
Okay, let me just hold up. I'm not sure what you are arguing for or against. You say you want the bill to be passed. The bill is saying exactly what you are saying. The bill is saying that we should go back to derivation, which would allow states like Abia to control their resources to develop the Abia port that can then go to the Atlantic or whatever. That's what the bill is saying. VAT, I don't start to say some VAT is a Trojan horse. Let me put it that way. You can't write the bill and say, I want to pass a bill that will say all money VAT should be cancelled. You can't write that kind of bill. It won't pass. But you can't sit on the side and be complaining. You've got to take half bread is better than none approach. Well, that's what I'm saying. the bill is saying what you are arguing for. I agree with what you are saying. The proposed bill will address the issues you've raised. And the only way you can counter the, should we say, concentration of industries in Lagos is to go and develop your own sector, your own state. And the way you develop your own state is to have the resources from VAT and from your export to develop your own state. So in one way, you are arguing against what is going to help you do what you don't like. That's the point I'm making. I agree with you, but I'm not sure you are understanding the bill per se for us to have discussion. Let's have Emmanuel, then we'll just close it down. Emmanuel, you're going to be the last guy, then we'll shut the space down. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. We've spent, we'll take about nearly 3 hours. Emmanuel, what's your mind? Real quick, and then we'll shut the space down.
Yes, so, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can, sir.
Okay, so, first of all, I think the wording of the bill, right? When you say derivation, right, you're necessarily saying, from a VAT point of view, the bill is favoring consumption as opposed to production. I don't know if that makes sense.
There's nothing wrong with favoring consumption and not production.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is the bill ultimately favors Lagos State.
It doesn't favor Lagos State. If the bill favors, the bill is saying that if you generate fiscal revenues, then the indices to calculate what you retain should go back to 20% from the current 10%. This was nearly 100% as at 1970. It was about 87% as at 1970.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
So, if a company is registered in Abuja but sells all its goods in Lagos, per this bill, what would that 60% go to?
Lagos.
Yes. So, hence my point. The consumption base of Nigeria is Lagos State.
But so why is it Lagos? Why is it Lagos State? Why is it Lagos State?
Because to quote one of your old tweets, Lagos State has the infrastructure.
Okay.
And therefore, people will tend to migrate to where the infrastructure is.
Okay, let's pick a state without infrastructure. Let's pick Abia without infrastructure. The Abia state governor wants to build infrastructure. How will he fund it?
So, well, he has two options. Either he gets foreign partnerships. Basically, he has to get private partnerships from either foreign governments, foreign companies, or local companies.
I know, but how will he fund it? I know where I'm not asking where. I'm saying how will he fund it? Is that debt or equity? You have to get it from.
Yes, you have to use equity. Yeah.
So what is this equity?
It can be in the form of resources.
It's VAT. It's revenues now. It's home revenues he makes. You know what we had actually when I said debt is revenue. That's what I was saying. If Abia State wants to build infrastructure, it needs resources. This bill is saying that Abia State will be able to retain the income it makes from Aba.
100%.
More, not 100%. Now it only retains, give or take, about 10% via derivation. These are 4 bills, not one. There's no bill called derivation. I'm calling it derivation myself. There are 4 bills. But embedded in those bills is that Abia State to retain more via the principle of derivation. So Abia State can get more. It can go to its bankers and say, out of Aba, I used to get 5 billion from FAC. Now I'm going to get 7 billion from FAC. So lend me more money to build more roads. Currently, Abia State is going to get less with FAC with the current system. With this new bill passed, derivation goes up. So Abia not only gets more from the tailoring, from the SMEs, it gets more that it can then use to then develop Abia. So this is the point where you are coming back to. Lagos is successful. Lagos is successful because they have infrastructure. So to catch Lagos, you need revenues to build infrastructure.
Then ultimately, yes, I think then if what you're saying, because I read the bill to an extent, but not fully. But for what you're saying, if that's what is in the bill, then
it's not 100%. It's simply saying, I mean, look at the Nigerian, there's a Nigerian tax bill, there's Nigerian tax admin bill, there's Nigerian revenue service bill, there's a joint revenue bill. In those bills is to say, take the Nigerian tax admin bill. It's going to talk about the federal state jurisdictions to facilitate tax compliance and all that. The long and short is this: states will get more revenues via derivation. That's the long and short.
Yeah. Then